The center of the world. Monsters dwelling in the snow-covered wilderness. A white serpent devours icebergs. A gray bear causes earthquakes. A cowardly rat pollutes the ocean. But an emperor who once survived and returned from the snow-covered wilderness said this: "The scariest thing here is not the monsters. In the majestic snow-covered mountains, a girl jumps from above to attack a vicious scorpion. Snow covers and obscures the entire area. A pair of sinewy hands firmly grip the scorpion's claw. Then the man puts all his strength into breaking the claw. On this side, another person slowly approaches. The scorpion trembles with fear. He firmly grips his weapon and slashes skillfully at it. Barbarians always wear their ignorance like a badge of honor." The guy asks, "How long do I have to put up with these blockheads?" The clueless girl replies, "What is ignorance? Can you eat it?" After defeating the scorpion, they sit down to enjoy it. The chewy, delicious meat is irresistible. A voice rings out, startling them. "I clearly told you guys that eating it would kill you. It has not even been a week, and you have already swallowed it all." The girl hesitantly says, "No, it is just that." "That is quite an admirable challenge," the guy asks annoyedly. "Is that a compliment?" Suddenly, the man's face turns as green as a banana leaf. He starts feeling unwell and foaming at the mouth. A few seconds later, he collapses to the ground, unconscious. The girl screams in fear, "Greta, what is wrong? Wake up." The guy stands still, witnessing everything, while the girl repeatedly hits Greta hard. "Wake up, get up now." The guy keeps looking into the distance. "This is not what I wanted. I had longed to set foot in a fantasy world, a world full of wonders and magic. I quit my job and went traveling. I climbed the highest mountain on Earth, went to the Earth's core, and set foot on the southernmost point of the world. But, of course, nothing happened. Reality is as far from fantasy as can be. Every night I prayed that when I woke up, I would be in the middle of a fantasy world. And one day, my prayer was answered. A caravan travels through a snowstorm. The soldier constantly complains, 'It is too cold, I am going to die.' The mercenary captain says annoyedly, 'Put on more fur if you do not want to die.' He tries to say, 'I already put on more.' Another soldier worriedly says, 'Captain, no matter how generous the reward, this is still suicide. Crossing the snow-covered wilderness? You are crazy.' The captain sternly demands, 'Quiet down. Everyone already agreed.' He replies in confusion, 'We did not know the situation would be this bad.' The groaning outside continues to annoy the steward. 'Damn it, it is too cold.' He clears his throat, then asks, 'Are you all right, miss?' The girl smiles and replies, 'I am fine. This is Miss Milena, of the Akasha family.' The soldier's complaints continue. 'Damn it, I am freezing to death.' The steward becomes even more annoyed, these boorish guys. Milena kindly reminds him, 'Do not be too strict. They are the only ones who agreed to protect us through the snow-covered wilderness. Hey, should not we bring her inside now? She is freezing.' Outside, the soldiers struggle against the snowstorms. The steward prevents the young lady's intentions. 'We cannot. Do you know what is in this snow-covered wilderness?' Milena nods and says, 'Monsters, right?' Long ago, an emperor who yearned to hold the entire world in his hands devoted himself to conquering the snow-covered wilderness. So he led all his strong soldiers and went on a personal expedition to the snow-covered wilderness. Years later, the fallen empire was forgotten, and the emperor was thought to be permanently lost. Then the emperor returned, his soldiers were gone, only his battered body remained. He looked decades older, spoke like a madman. 'There are monsters in the snow-covered wilderness, but the scariest thing is not the monsters, but the barbarians. They have been here and caused so many obsessions.' The steward reassures Miss Milena, 'Surely that is just a legend.' The girl slowly analyzes, but what the emperor said was not unfounded. Most of the creatures he described were later discovered. The steward still tries to refute that thought, but no one has ever said they saw a barbarian. Miss Milena also has to admit that is right. Despite countless adventure stories, no record mentions barbarians. The mercenary captain suddenly orders everyone stop. 'There is something over there. I can't see clearly.' He tries to look through the thick snow. The captain announces, 'I have good news and bad news. The good news is that it is small. The bad news is, it is coming towards us.' Everyone worriedly focuses their attention on that mysterious person. The captain grips his sword tightly. Concentrating and observing carefully, the figure becomes clearer and clearer. A human, hair as gray as if it wants to blend into the snow, a body with rippling muscles. The man appears in the snow with a fierce expression. The mercenaries are stunned for a few seconds. A barbarian. The guy is also surprised to encounter them. I could not stand seeing other barbarians, so I went out for a walk. He smiles as a way to show friendliness. How lucky, I did not expect to run into outsiders in the snow-covered wilderness. It is nice to meet you all. I am Ketel of the Ashen Barbarian tribe. He turns his head to look at the carriage. Are you merchants? Looks like you are mercenaries escorting a caravan, huh? The captain confirms in amazement. That is right. Ketel sincerely says, I advise you to turn back, but you probably won't listen. His words make them even more confused. Ketel soon realizes. Your employer is in that carriage. Milena sits inside, anxiously worried. The captain is also starting to get scared. Ketel makes a suggestion. I want to be hired too. His words are unexpected to them. Ketel repeats with a confident voice. Was not I clear? I want to help you get through the snow-covered wilderness. The captain is very puzzled. Why is a legendary barbarian asking for a job? Is that all he wants, so you do not have any hostile intentions? Ketel replies with a pious face. If I did, you would all be dead. The mercenaries freeze in place. The captain immediately walks towards the carriage. He gently knocks on the door and asks the young lady, have you heard? Milena sits thoughtfully for a moment. Then replies, I know. The steward asks curiously, what is wrong? The captain asks, seriously. He wants to be hired as a mercenary. What will you do? Milena asks a question, if we fight, what will happen? In his opinion, the captain sincerely advises, I do not recommend it. The girl remains silent again. After thinking for a while, she makes a decision. I understand. Tell him that we agree. The captain nods in response, yes, miss. He turns back towards Ketel and solemnly announces, you are hired. He smiles with satisfaction. Then says, that is very good news. His expression makes the soldiers more skeptical. The captain hesitantly asks in fear, what? Ketel glances at him and reassures, do not be afraid, you are just soldiers. I have to talk to the employer directly. The captain immediately warns, if you dare to mess around, Ketel calmly reminds, be careful. Then he walks straight towards the carriage. The mercenary asks in panic, Captain, is it okay to let him meet her? He can only reply helplessly, our employer has agreed. Another soldier hesitantly asks, even so, we are just mercenaries, should not we? The captain looks at Ketel and says to his subordinate, what, are you kidding me? Inside, the steward yells, miss! What are you doing? Milena says softly. Calm down. Suddenly, Ketel's voice rings out, startling her a bit. Can I come in? The steward panics in fear. Milena tries to suppress her fear and calmly replies, come in. Ketel is very excited that everything is going smoothly. The steward sits cowering in a corner. While Ketel possesses a confident demeanor, he says, calm down, you two. I do not intend to harm you. The steward tries to push him away with all his might. Do not lie, you monster. Milena still can't believe the truth. The legendary barbarian is right in front of me. She awkwardly greets, it is nice to meet you. Ketel immediately replies, it is nice to meet you. It is pretty warm in here, even though it is probably hard to keep this warm in the carriage in the snow-covered wilderness. The girl hesitantly reveals that is thanks to magic. Ketel is quite surprised, though it really is magic. As you two know, this place is extremely dangerous. Even with mercenary escorts, the chances of you two crossing safely are very slim, so I will protect you. However, I have a condition. The steward waits anxiously. Milena asks straightforwardly, a condition, what do you want? Ketel replies with a smile, knowledge outside the snow-covered wilderness, the information you two have, is what I want. The girl asks in confusion, knowledge outside the snow-covered wilderness? Ketel nods to confirm, yes, you two lose nothing. Milena thinks to herself, we did not have a choice to begin with. Then she says, I understand. Ketel happily replies, great, what is your name? She gently introduces herself, I am Milena, of the Akasha family. The guy also says, friendly, I am Ketel, it is nice to work with you. Me, who once yearned for a fantasy world. One day, I woke up and found myself a barbarian in the snow-covered wilderness. I did not have time to find out why. The only things that exist here are the skin-cutting cold and countless powerful monsters. I led a tribe in the snowy field, hunting to survive, gritting my teeth and enduring each day. I do not know how long it has been. After countless years, I have constantly tried to escape this terrible, snow-covered wilderness. But Ketel waves his hand strongly forward. A message from the system board appears. An invisible force prevents me from leaving. Just when I thought I was about to give up, I do not know why anyone would voluntarily set foot in this harsh place. But sometimes people from the outside world appear, and I realized the world outside the harsh, snow-covered wilderness is the fantasy and magic world I have always longed for. That is the fantasy world. From then on, I started taking real action, not just for survival anymore. Mission 295, hunt lizards within the time limit. I slaughtered monsters and completed the assigned missions to escape the snow-covered wilderness, with the thought that one day I would escape this place. Because I can't leave this damn snowy field, the news I get from those who come from outside is extremely valuable. But most of the humans I have met so far either panicked and drew their swords or were half crazy. This time, there is finally someone willing to talk to me. How long has it been since I talked to a civilized person? I am always with uneducated barbarians, so talking to a civilized person is like healing my spirit. Catel asks, "You are transporting weapons, right?" Minela is startled and replies, "Yes. How did you know?" He states his guess. "I heard the sound of steel inside the carriages. It is hard not to notice. Is there a war outside?" Minela sadly tells, "Yes, the Empire and the Kingdom are at war." Catel realizes something. "I see. The outside world is not completely peaceful either." The girl denies, "No. The Empire is pushing with overwhelming force and numbers, but the Kingdom is not giving in easily. Swordsmen and heroes are protecting the border." Catel asks curiously, "Heroes? Swordsmen? What kind of power do they use?" Minela asks in surprise, "Have not you heard of arcane arts, Catel?" The guy also confides, "Honestly, I have never left this place." Hearing that, Minela also tries to explain to him, "I do not know the details either, but there is a power called arcane arts that exists in this world. Only a very few people can sense or use this power, and they will be given one of 5 power levels. First is level 3. These are just people who can sense the power of arcane arts. Coming to level 2 from level 2 onwards are people who can use the power of arcane arts. Next is level 1. Those are people who can turn the power of arcane arts into magic or aura, and they are usually people like knights, mages, or spirits. Beyond that, all levels become meaningless because those are existences beyond human perception, but if I had to name it, it would be transcendent level. Those are people who can control arcane arts at will, enough to tear the sky and earth. Swordsmen belong to this level. And finally, heroes, monsters that go far beyond controlling arcane arts, enough to affect the whole world. The hero himself is already a living legend. In fact, the fact that their power is leveled and named is proof of that power, and even a level 3 is considered a strongman in a small territory. Catel boldly says something that shocks Minela. "I want to meet them." He sits thoughtfully, unable to remember how long he has been stuck here. He has just been trying to survive, desperately. "All I know is that the snow-covered wilderness is in the middle of the fantasy world, and I can't escape. The outside is the fantasy world. I really want to get out of here. No, I have to get out." The determination in Catel is reaching its peak. Minela asks Catel, "You are a barbarian, right?" The guy also does not hesitate to answer. "You could say that, judging by your expressions, it seems like you know about my existence." The girl repeats, "Yes, it is a legend." Catel is extremely confused. "A legend about me." That makes Minela even more surprised. "You do not know." After listening to the girl tell everything in detail, Catel laughs and realizes, so that is how it is, the old emperor. Is that guy an emperor? I thought he was a crazy guy. Never mind, that legend is true. That happened a long time ago. Anyway, judging by the number of carriages, it seems like you are transporting a large amount of weapons. Why do you have to cross this snow-covered wilderness? Minela hesitantly replies, We need a lot of money. Our family has been doing business for generations. We have accumulated a lot of wealth, but because we were sabotaged by jealous rivals, we are now drowning in debt. The expedition is to prevent our family from collapsing. Catel also soon guesses, "A trip to settle debts, so that is how it is. So you are planning to sell weapons to the kingdom that is at war with the Empire. I understand." Minela asks blankly, "Yes, how did you?" Catel explains seriously, "You said earlier that the Empire is pushing thanks to overwhelming numbers. That means the Empire won't lack weapons. If it is not the Empire, then the kingdom is the one that needs weapons. When supply is scarce and demand is high, the price will naturally skyrocket. I do not know what the value is out there, but with that amount, it must be worth a lot, enough to risk crossing this snow-covered wilderness. It seems like you have to work hard to cross the snow-covered wilderness. There is probably no other way to the kingdom without going through this place, right? Your territory borders the Empire, right?" Minela is very shocked. "Exactly?" She starts questioning. "Impossible. I heard that the legendary barbarian is just an illiterate savage. Who are you? Are you really a barbarian?" Suddenly, Minela's body starts swaying. The steward frantically turns around to check. "What?" Because he is too scared, he yells loudly. Catel calmly faces the situation. We have uninvited guests. An ugly monster suddenly appears. The group of mercenaries also stand there, staring at it. Fear is clearly written on the captain's face. Minela is taken aback. When she encounters the monster, Ketel recognizes it with just a glance. A black slime, I wonder if that is what it is called. The girl says tremblingly, "It is a monster that has been recorded in the library. Many powerful adventurers have challenged the snow-covered wilderness over the years. Very few have survived, but those who survived have left records of the creatures they encountered. And among them, black slime appears most often." By the way, do you know what it is, Kettle? He describes excitedly, of course. They are chewy, good for snacks. They are pretty delicious. Minela is starting to feel disgusted. "Wait, you eat them?" Ketel asks innocently, "Want to try? Then let me go catch a few." The girl quickly refuses. "No?" She startles and looks outside. Then she sees the black slime monster getting closer. In panic, Minela calls for help from Ketel, but he remains calm and does not flinch at all. "I have made a pact with you. I promise to protect your lives, so I won't take action unless there is real danger." Minela asks in amazement, "What do you mean?" Ketel smirks and replies, "That, you can handle it easily. Above all, I need to assess the strength of this team myself." The black slime bares its sharp teeth, along with a space-tearing scream. The captain flinches. He immediately orders, "Lower the shields." The subordinate quickly follows the arrangement. The black slime frantically rushes to attack. The soldier holding the shield struggles to resist, but just a few seconds later he is knocked away by the black slime. The remaining soldier takes the opportunity to attack sneakily. After a heavy bombardment, the one who gets injured is the mercenary. Damn it, what the hell is this? The black slime's power is getting stronger every moment. In the urgency, the captain finds the monster's weakness. Black slime can only move in a straight line. Scatter and coordinate. The mercenaries shout in unison, "Understood." They firmly grip their weapons, ready to fight. The captain rushes forward with all his strength. He rushes towards the black slime at the speed of light. A subordinate gets close to the black slime's side, then uses the spear to slash across its mouth. The black slime screams in pain, spewing out slimy substances. Another soldier starts transferring spiritual power into the spear, then throws a decisive blow towards the black slime. The weapon flies and pierces through the monster's body. That attack weakens the black slime. The captain runs towards it with his sword and continues to attack. He rushes past and slashes a clean cut into the black slime's body. Normal attacks do not work. Aim for the core. It is hidden inside. The captain raises his sword high, then immediately stabs a fatal blow into the monster's body. The gem also shattered into pieces. The black gradually melted away into the snow. The captain was still stunned and could not believe his eyes. "We did it. We really took it down." The mercenaries cheered in pride. Minela also rejoiced at this good news. Only Ketel glanced outside with an emotionless face. Another disaster suddenly struck. "Stop! Another monster!" Aiming at its neck, the mercenary immediately slashed at the monster. The other quickly coordinated and attacked it together. The monster roared loudly. Blood suddenly gushed out like a waterfall. The group of mercenaries stood stunned. After successfully eliminating another monster, so this is the snow-covered wilderness. Not very impressive, Captain. "I am afraid the rumors have been exaggerated." The captain sternly reminded, "Do not let your guard down. We have not even reached the halfway point yet." The mercenary asks suspiciously, "But is that barbarian really that strong? I mean, whether it is a monster or not, is not he just part of the Emperor's legend? He is supposed to be at the top of the food chain in the snow-covered wilderness, yet he is clinging to us for protection." "At least we should test his strength, right?" The captain pondered over those words. Inside the carriage, Minela was also a little confused. Ketel still kept a cold face. The mercenary stood in front of the carriage and said loudly, "Miss, I have something to say to you," Minela asked in surprise. "Verify what?" He said frankly, "We have bet our lives to carry out this mission. As mercenaries, we have signed a contract with you. That is what we do." Minela replied sincerely, "Yes, and I am really grateful that you accepted this request. I always appreciate that. A escort mission across the snow-covered wilderness." The others ran away when they heard the specifics. "Without them, I would not even be able to set off." The mercenary continued, however, "There is something that worries me. That barbarian has not fought once, has he?" Milena became embarrassed. "That he requested, so we want to confirm. That barbarian, whether he really deserves the special treatment he is receiving." Minela became more and more confused. "Confirm how?" She turned to look at the captain as a plea for help, but he said helplessly, "I tried to stop them, but they would not listen." Ketel inside smiled when he heard the conversation. "So you guys want to test my strength? Fine with me. But now is not the time. We have other guests ahead," the mercenaries asked blankly. "What nonsense are you talking about?" A barbaric voice rang out. Weak mortals from outside have come. It has been a long time since I had a good meal." The mercenary stood watching in fear. Everyone was scared by the appearance of this monster. It kept uttering contemptuous words, yelling at the pitiful mortals, "Struggle as you like, it will add more flavor to my meal." The appearance of the serpent beast made Milena scream in horror. Its power made it difficult for the mercenaries to resist. At this time, Ketal coldly said, "Stop, they are my guests. Go back, White Serpent." His presence immediately shocked it. "Why are you here? Have you forgotten the rules in the snow-covered wilderness when you leave your tribe's territory?" Suddenly, Ketal interrupted, "That is none of your business." As soon as he finished speaking, the White Serpent angrily created a snowstorm. "I am the White Serpent, you barbarian?" Then rushed to attack with lightning speed. "How dare you order me, who has been promised immutability?" However, Ketal showed an icy expression. "You are asking for a beating." At the same time, he threw a punch straight into the White Serpent's stomach. This attack was indeed powerful, making it widen its eyes. It also created a violent shockwave. The power emitted from it made it impossible for the mercenaries to resist. Suddenly, an earth-shattering explosion erupted from Ketal's place. Both Milena and the steward were overwhelmed by it. Turning back, the White Serpent was now lying in a pile. "You are the kind who only listens after being beaten." Milena was shocked to see him defeat the White Serpent. At this moment, Ketal turned around. "I will take care of it soon. It won't be long." At that time, Ketal took a strong stance, then flew with lightning speed that the human eye could not see. A huge amount of magic power emitted around him. Ketal bravely launched a devastating punch. Its destructive power began to spread around. Even Milena and the steward were extremely shocked. After finishing, the steward hurriedly apologized. "I have committed a heinous crime. Please forgive me." However, Ketal did not blame him. It is not easy to trust a stranger. And so their group continued on their way. Now the steward had to walk outside, despite the bone-chilling cold. Suddenly he showed a questioning expression. At the same time, he asked, "Now that I think about it, I have a question. Looking at your clothes and way of speaking, you do not seem to be an ordinary representative of the family. Why are you personally participating in such a dangerous expedition?" This question made Milena hesitate to answer. A few seconds later, she explained, "I am the first daughter of Velika, a concubine of Lord Kasakakasha." "A concubine? Do you mean a mistress?" "She came here for a political marriage but was abandoned. A pitiful mother with no real power." "My mother and I only have the title of family members, but in reality we are nothing. We are treated like servants." At that time, Milena thought to herself, "I did not intend to say so much." She revealed, "I volunteered to participate in this expedition, although it is a dangerous journey, but someone has to set an example." What she said made Ketal quite interested. "I see, you are quite smart. And you also have great ambitions. You are really greedy." She suddenly wanted to say something, then a laugh made them pay attention. Milena quickly looked out of the carriage, then asked, "We are here?" Before everyone's eyes was now a majestic place. Coming here, she did not forget to thank Ketal. "Thank you very much. How will you return?" "We will go through the Empire. Since you sold the weapons, you won't be carrying any contraband. Crossing the border is not too difficult." Milena suddenly called Ketal's name, as if wanting to say something. "You said I was smart and ambitious. What does that mean?" Ketal immediately replied, "The literal meaning. You are smart and also very ambitious. Your family used to be very respected, but now it is in chaos due to lack of funds. Even though you are the daughter of a concubine, if you personally take action, opening a path to save the family that is on the verge of collapse, then who do you think those under your command will trust and follow? Your goal is to seize real power in the family, right? Am I wrong?" His words began to make Milena think. A perfect answer. A correct answer. It is common for the child of a concubine to accept a dangerous challenge to inherit the family. This barbarian is really smart. He is not like those half-baked people who think they are good. And the power to defeat the White Serpent without any injuries. If this power becomes part of my force, at that time she said, "Ketal, if you plan to leave the snow-covered wilderness, why do not you come with me?" However, Ketal quickly refused. "I will decline now. I still have some things to do." Suddenly at this moment, Milena took out something. She suddenly gave him a gold chain. "Will you accept it? If you ever come out and find the Akasha family, show them this piece." Ketal laughed. "If this is a gift, I will gladly accept it." Before leaving, they did not forget to thank him. "One day I hope we will meet again. Definitely." Just like that, their group left. It is known that 5 years later, in the snow-covered wilderness, finally, all the conditions have been met. Finally, Ketil had completed all the missions to officially leave the snow-covered wilderness. Finally, my first step into the fantasy world that I had always dreamed of. The atmosphere outside made Ketil very comfortable. The fresh scent of plants and the breath of animals, the faint coolness of the river, sense that I could not feel when I was in the snow-covered wilderness. It is great, very pleasant. After a while of fumbling around, Ketil suddenly turned back to look at the snowy mountain, then shouted loudly, "Damn, you snow-covered wilderness! I am not coming back!" It is known that this is a fantasy world, the world I have always longed for, a world full of mysteries and wonders that I thought I would never reach, although the start was quite bad. I still managed to live. So now I will enjoy life here to the fullest, magic and swordsmanship, dragons and elves. It really is a fantasy world. If it were not for being too passionate, I would have died long ago. The snow-covered wilderness is originally hell, where you can't survive just by relying on meager vitality. Kesra suddenly noticed strange lights. There was a feeling of streams of life energy gathering. He was excited. It must be a village. Finally, I can see the civilized towns in this world. I once tried to enlighten those dumb barbarians, those who only know how to dig snow and sleep in their nests, about the importance of building shelters, but they just stared blankly, completely clueless, and did not understand anything. I still remember clearly the solid human settlements. How should I introduce myself? Or just say hello, or just ask as usual, "Where is this?" Either way, I should still be polite. Inside a small village, an elf elder stood up and announced, "All elf residents listen. From today, this place will be our new home." Hearing his words, everyone was excited. He also gave the order, "Explore everything, everyone." Suddenly, at this moment, someone came and called, "Village Chief, what is wrong? Is this place really safe? Is it really safe? This is a fairly remote and secluded area. Humans can't come here." "Yes, I also know that, but the snow-covered wilderness is right next to it." He quickly reassured him, "You are worried that the monsters from the snow-covered wilderness will appear, right? It is just because it is too close. It is okay. Nothing has appeared from the snow-covered wilderness for thousands of years. Besides, we have also placed a barrier, a hidden magic that conceals our presence, making this place look like an ordinary forest. It took us months to create it, based on ancient elven magic that we had difficulty restoring. As long as the barrier is maintained, no one can find this place. Even if monsters come, we still have the queen. No monster from the snow-covered wilderness can touch our queen." At the same time, Ketil stepped into the barrier. He was shocked to realize something. "I think I just tore something. Is there anything here? But how far do I have to walk?" Suddenly, Ketil discovered something strange. A small figure gradually appeared. It turned out to be an elf girl who was lost here. This made Ketil very surprised. A real elf, one of the races often thought of in the fantasy world. I did not expect to meet so early. How lucky. It feels like surviving was worth it. On the contrary, the girl was very scared, too scared. "Where is this? What should I do? I am lost too far." The girl suddenly discovered Ketil's presence. Her eyes suddenly became flustered, because Ketil's face was very scary. His large body made her freeze. Then suddenly fainted immediately. A loud noise accidentally occurred. At that time, Ketil fell into a difficult situation. She fainted before I could talk properly. Should I take her back to the village? In mythology, elves are often a peace-loving race that is very hospitable and kind. If I bring the unconscious child back, maybe they will welcome me warmly. It must be friendly too. I wonder what it feels like. Looking forward to it. Just like that, Ketil carried the child back to the village. However, when he arrived, he received their panic. "No way. Why are there humans here? Who are you? How did you break the barrier?" Seeing this, the child's mother was very scared. "My child." Even the village chief was shocked. "How is it possible this place is considered an inviolable place where humans can't come? Why is a human here? There should be a barrier. How?" People in the village started to panic. "Village chief, there is a hole in the barrier." "No, where's the queen?" "The queen, temporarily left to survey the terrain." "You bastard! If you do not return the child, I will hunt you to the ends of the earth," they kept threatening, without giving him a word of explanation. The village chief began to fear. "Our home has been exposed. The barrier is made of ancient magic. Even adults can't enter. If it is broken, it means humans are completely prepared to come. How long have they been watching us?" This situation made Ketil feel confused. Do they think I am a kidnapper? I have to clarify this misunderstanding first. At the same time, the child in his arms moved. It gradually woke up, then opened its eyes wide to look. Ketil gently put it down. Go back to everyone. Seeing this, the girl turned back to look, but the scene she saw was Catal like a monster. Immediately it made the girl freeze. Hurriedly ran towards her mother, crying loudly. Catal thought to himself, I thought I looked very decent when I was in the snow-covered wilderness. Anyway, I returned the child. Elves, as you can see, I am not an enemy. Without letting him explain, the village chief immediately gave the order, the hostage has been released. Everyone attack? At this time, countless arrows were fired simultaneously towards Catal. This made him freeze. Did not you even listen to me? Catal fell into thought, the elf race is more barbaric than I thought. According to legend, elves are a gentle species, loving nature, seeking harmony, but the real elves are violent, almost savage. But thinking about it, elves live in nature, and nature is originally a place where the weak are eliminated, peace never exists, perhaps it is natural for them to become tough. Despite the arrows coming, they could not hurt him, Catal speculated, so this is reality. The elf race shouted in panic, what kind of artifact is he using? He must have a limit, keep attacking, he still stood still. He reached out and said, calm down. Catal clasped his hands together. Immediately, he unleashed a terrifying power, causing everything around to crack. His face radiated an overwhelming murderous aura. A large explosion occurred right where he stood. The power was too great, causing the elf race to retreat. They witnessed this scene and could not help but turn pale, and fearfully ran away. He shouted, deploy the barrier. Trees and ground were turned over, and the elf race was thrown into the sky. Everyone was shocked. The domineering power was still accumulating. It caused a terrible aftershock, shaking the entire forest. The elf elder supported himself with a trembling staff. His face turned pale, and he stammered, what is that? The place where he stood was hollowed out into a large dome. He quickly explained, I am not your enemy. The tribal leader still stood there in place. In his heart, he thought in confusion, could it be that I went a little too far? He said hesitantly, elves. Suddenly, a fire arrow rushed down. It was aimed directly at him. In an instant, the place where he stood was filled with smoke and fire. The elf elder and the blonde boy saw it and had to gape at the spot. Blonde hair fluttered in the wind, along with feet landing on the ledge. Everyone in the elf race shouted loudly, Your Majesty, this person is like our savior. She is the queen of the Leaf tribe, named Marsaria Hashian Karucha. She stood proudly and spoke. What happened? The elf elder held up his staff and shouted, A human attacked us, Marsaria said in a stern voice, so even this place is not safe. His eyes, full of murderous intent, quickly interrupted, Wait. Catal came out of the smoke, he said blankly, at least let me speak. Marsaria was stunned to see that he did not have a single scratch. The elf elder widened his eyes in horror. Impossible. How can you withstand an attack from the queen and still stand firm like that? She stood high and asked aggressively, Could it be that you are another strong person who came to harm us? She frowned in contempt. Humans are disgusting. Marsaria started drawing her bow. I am the queen of the Leaf tribe. Leaves turn brown in autumn. She glanced sideways. And humans. She was ready to attack and declared, I will make you pay the price for coveting my species. After hearing this, he was still blank and did not understand what was going on. There were tons of questions in his head. Could it be that we can't communicate, but we are clearly speaking the same language? Are they deliberately ignoring me? Or are elves and humans really incompatible? Catal accepted. Well then, there is no other way. A lesson that the white snow taught me. He glared with determination. To make people listen, sometimes you have to hit first. Marsaria's arrow was activating magic. Her eyes did not waver. The arrow has been fired with enormous power. The embodiment of this power is an ice wolf. It rushed straight towards him. Catal did not flinch and swung his fist. He unleashed his power to stop it. Then resolutely responded. He successfully shattered the ice wolf in an instant. Marsaria was also shocked to see this scene. He flinched and realized, it seems like I overdid it. Another explosion occurred. That attack was reflected back at her, causing her to be injured. He scratched his face and thought, maybe just now, I should have held back a little more. At this time, Marsaria's expression could no longer maintain composure. She gritted her teeth and admitted, just through the touch just now, I understood. He is very strong, at least transcendent level or more. Such a strong person appeared in this place. She regained her composure and ordered, everyone, get away from this area. Hearing this, the elf people worriedly asked, Your Majesty. She angrily shouted, now run. At this time, everyone panicked and obeyed. The people ran away with all their might, and she stayed to resist and insisted, humans, your strength is real, but you will never achieve your goal. He replied helplessly, wait, I just want to talk. Then panicked and thought, why do I feel like no matter what I do, I am going to die? She closed her eyes to stabilize, her hands accumulated power, and chanted, I summon, the one who holds the power of the original, I summon, the one who holds the deepest darkness. Come, blazing horned beast, embodiment of pure fire. She opened her eyes as if she had completed the summoning. A huge fireball was created. Inside the sphere was a spirit beast. He watched with interest. A spirit beast? The things in the white snow are really scary and horrific. There are also a few creatures that look like in the fantasy world, but most of them just make me nauseous. He excitedly asked the question, and the beast in front of me, a bull with blazing horns of fire. His eyes lit up with anticipation, and he thought, now this is a real spirit, this is truly a fantasy world. Marsaria ordered, Piego, kill the enemy before you. Seeing this, Piego sighed in disappointment. No wonder the establishment of agreements is always troublesome. All it brings is a headache. She impatiently interrupted him. Enough nonsense. She thought to herself, Piego, a creature with burning horns carrying pure fire, the stronger, the more ancient and arrogant the spirit, normally it is difficult for me to summon it, but thanks to the support from other tribes, I finally established an agreement. I did not expect it to actually summon it this time. She urged, carry out the agreement, Piego. Piego replied, so this agreement means I have to kill that human, right? It suddenly became cautious, that guy, looking at you like a wild beast. In its eyes, you exude a terrible slaughter. Is he really human? Looking at the bull, exuding a burning aura. Catal admired, great, it really is a summoned spirit. This is truly a fantasy world. Suddenly, Marsaria spoke of his crime. A human has invaded our home, causing him to turn off his joy in an instant. Piego vehemently questioned, a lowly human dares to dream of the race of nature. I have decided, I will burn you to ashes, even the ashes will be gone. After hearing this, he turned to stone on the spot. Piego began to explode the fire within him. It was preparing to take a stance, then quickly rushed towards Catal. He still stood there, letting it rush in to destroy him. The surrounding rocks were turned upside down. The power was too great, causing her to support herself with her hands. She slowly observed the situation, seeing that he had lightly held the horn of the spirit beast in his hand. Piego at this time was confused and did not understand what was happening. He sneered, in fact, it is a better beast. His face was full of murderous intent. I do not mind smashing it to death with my bare hands. Marsaria stood stunned in place. She saw the scene. He punched the supreme spirit beast that he had painstakingly signed an agreement to summon. A dazzling light was emitted. The spirit beast was knocked flying thousands of miles. This time the aftershock was too terrible, affecting a large area. This explosion with its domineering, destructive power made Marsaria have to try to resist, while Catal continued to exude murderous intent. She seemed to have collapsed. The ground was full of cracks. He still stood there, while she said in a daze, impossible. Catal walked to her. Marsaria lowered her head and said, please, spare my race. But all she received was a cold snort from him. He stood proudly in front of her and affirmed, I am not your enemy, elf. Hearing this, she was confused. She widened her eyes and looked up at him. What? After a long debate, we finally accepted one thing, that he really was not the enemy. She put her hand on her chest and expressed, sorry, human, I was too quick to judge. She regretted thinking, mistaking the one who saved the child of my race as a kidnapper. It really is too impolite. Seeing that she had sincerely apologized, he felt a little helpless. It is, okay, I understand you said you were being chased by humans. Right, even so, it is a bit sad that you never tried to listen. To me? She hesitantly asked, you really are not one of those chasing us. He bluntly replied, this is the first time I have met an elf. The white snow does not have elves. Hearing him say that, it surprised her. What, the white snow? The ashen barbarian of the white snow? He immediately said, that is the name those outsiders gave me? She could not believe her eyes and said, impossible. We thought no human could survive there. If you can leave the white snow, could other things also come out? Catal calmly replied, who knows, but I do not think so. Not everyone can leave like that. He thought, the white snow has its own rules. Even strong creatures like the snake can't break it. For some reason I was given a way out, through what is called a mission. He frowned and pondered. I am sure I am a very rare exception. Hearing that, she breathed a sigh of relief. Then that is good, he quickly asked. By the way, is your spirit beast okay? Catal innocently said, the firebull, I have already cut it in half. Marsyria got up and explained, "Do not worry, spirit beasts are creatures of nature. When defeated, they just return to the spirit world." He asked in surprise, "Spirit beast?" Once again she expressed, "Sorry for the troubles I caused. If there is anything you want, as long as it is within my ability, I will grant it." He mumbled, "Spirit beast." Then he supported his hand and asked, "Then, can a non-elf make an agreement with a spirit beast?" She immediately avoided it and said, "That is almost impossible, I think so." But she gave the idea, of course, if a human is deeply attached to nature, it may be possible to make an agreement with a spirit beast. He seemed to understand. So that means the possibility is still very low, causing her to be silent. She suggested, if you really want to make an agreement with a spirit beast, send it to Elfo Sagrado. He asked in surprise, "Elfo Sagrado?" She presented, that is where the gods of the elves reside, the most sacred sanctuary of the elf race. In that place, you may have a chance. He said excitedly, "Can someone like me, a human, enter?" She replied, "Normally no, but with my introduction, you can. I will give you a map. Keep it to yourself." On her hand, a fireball accumulated, and she thought, the sanctuary of the elves, Elfo Sagrado, that is where every scholar of elves dreams of. But for elves, human access is extremely dangerous. To protect a place more precious than life, elves have never revealed its location to outsiders. She handed over a red stone, she hoped. "Even so, I still want to trust you." She immediately said, "Take this." He immediately accepted it and said, "I accept, thank you." She instructed, of course, even if you can approach, our gods will definitely test you. She placed her trust, "But with you, I do not think it is a problem. I wish you luck," he replied. "Thank you." Now she started introducing herself. "I am the queen of the leaf tribe. Leaves turn brown when autumn comes. Marsyria Hashiang Karusia. What is your name?" He replied to her, "I am Ketal, a barbarian of the white snow." At this time he was preparing to do something, then sped away quickly. His eyes lit up again. He aimed for the forest with many trees, then jumped from one side of the forest to the other. The guard on high observed as if he realized something, and asked, "What is that? What is going on?" A gatekeeper said in panic, "I do not know. Something is coming." The captain of the Barcan guard shouted, "Ring the bell! Gather all the guards immediately!" The place he landed was filled with smoke. Ketal slowly came out. He stood proudly there, causing all the guards to be horrified. Ketal happily greeted, "Are you the guards? Very pleased to meet you." The three guards still stood there stunned, while he wondered when he did not receive a reply. The guard captain was sweating profusely, thinking the loud noise just now was caused by this guy. He looked at him and judged. Ash-gray hair. Then his face changed and he recognized a scar on his chest. Impossible. Ash-gray barbarian, in his mind, he was like a brutal monster. He slowly stepped forward. The guard captain shouted, "Stop right there. Take another step and we will attack." Ketal replied, "I would be grateful if you calm down." He reconciled. "I am not your enemy." He cautiously asked, "What do you want from us?" His hand was about to reach up. Then he pointed to the gate, causing the guard captain to not understand. He turned back suspiciously. The fortress? Ketal calmly said, "I want to enter your territory." Hearing this, he and the guard froze on the spot. At this time, inside the city, he propped his chin up and made a suggestion. "If possible, I want to stay for a while. I am not sure how long." After hearing this, the guard captain asked, "So you plan to stay for a while? What is your name?" He introduced, "I am Ketal." He asked again, "Then do you have anyone to guarantee you? Or identification?" He bluntly replied, "I do not have anything like that." Suddenly, he seemed to remember something. He recalled the words that Milena instructed, "Thank you, Ketal. If you leave later, please give this token if you want to find House Akasha." The token was stored in his glove. He took it out, placed it on the table, and asked, "Then how about using this as confirmation?" He saw that it looked expensive and asked, "What is that?" Ketal explained, "The coat of arms of House Akasha. I received it from someone with blood in that house." He took it to confirm. House Akasha is a merchant family of the Denian kingdom, right? He suddenly looked at the shiny token, thinking, the family that came to the White Snow a few years ago. He quickly asked, "You know them?" He immediately said, "Recently, that family has been rising since the new head took over a few years ago. They have expanded very quickly." He wondered, "So can I use this as a document?" He said helplessly, "It does not look fake, but it is still difficult to verify." He asked again, "So it does not belong to this kingdom?" He replied, "This is the kingdom of Gehent." He placed the family crest on the table and made a suggestion, although it can't be verified. "It is still useful. Okay, you can enter, but I have a condition." Ketal was immediately puzzled. A condition. He interlocked his fingers and said seriously, "We need to verify. We need to ensure you are not dangerous." He presented, currently there are 3 other people also applying to enter the territory. The condition is to clear the dungeon near the territory, together with them. He propped his chin up and was divided. Forming a team together is the condition, then it is easier than I thought. He happily agreed. Okay, I accept. He immediately interrupted. But there is one more condition. After clearing the dungeon, I want you to report the details of what happened there. After hearing this, he seemed to realize the intention. I understand. It seems you still do not know their identities. You have to observe each other. Ketal continued, if you take this opportunity to filter out the suspicious ones, not a bad plan. It is actually quite clever. He was a little surprised and said, it is not just that. Are you really a barbarian? He frankly admitted, yes, I am a barbarian. He thought confused. I thought barbarians were a dumb species. You are the first barbarian that made me rethink. He got up, then said happily, well, enough said, let us go. Arriving at the holy night, he sighed sarcastically, even if it is true, you have to go into the dungeon with a few pickpockets like sewers rats. He sat cross-legged leisurely and said, how annoying. Kasane was not easy either, he angrily teased back. What is your problem, old man? Want to cause trouble with me for losing money to a thief? He heard that, and did not give in either, but said, you brat, dare to insult a paladin. Seeing this, Kasane frowned and laughed creepily. Paladin, my ass? Is this how modern paladins wear armor? If you were really a paladin, you would not come here. You are just claiming to be a wandering paladin, right? You are just a wanderer like me. Hearing what he said, he could no longer maintain composure. He continued to tease. Tyrannus, where did you get that ridiculous name? At this time, he was preparing to draw his sword. Tyrannus angrily swung his sword and shouted, you bastard! Kasane laughed provocatively. Want to try? Think those torn pieces of armor can withstand my blows? At this time, he was ready to fight. Tyrannus had also gripped his sword tightly in his hand. Both rushed to fight each other. Suddenly, a voice interrupted. I really hope you two stop. Both immediately paid attention to a brown-haired girl. She sighed in disappointment. Do I really have to go clear the dungeon with this group? Will it be okay? By the way, the dungeon requires at least 4 people. There will be someone else coming. Her eyes were a little worried. Suddenly, there was a sound of someone making her flinch. The guard captain opened the door wide and announced, the last member is here, Kasane said with interest. I hope this time it is someone really normal. Ketal slowly walked in. His eyes, fiercely full of murderous intent, went to. Seeing him come in caused all 3 to freeze. He asked with a smile, is it you, those who are on my team? Tyrannus was immediately cautious. He is too big. And the priest was horrified. Is that really a human? And Kasane was in a panic. What pressure is this? Ketal historically greeted, nice to meet you. The captain left and said, okay, introduce yourself. I will be right back. He opened first. Then let us start introducing. I am Ketal, a barbarian. He paid attention to the person next to him and asked, how about you? He replied in confusion, I am Kasane Hark, a thief. To the holy knight, he introduced. I am Paladin Alessandro Tyrannus, he asked. Paladin, can you use holy power? He hesitantly replied, normally yes, but I am a special case. In fact, I can't use it. And Ketal, with a straight face, confirmed. It was the turn of the brown-haired girl. She shyly introduced. I worship deceitful and counterfeit gods. I am Hayes, priest of Colossia. He immediately replied, you are a priest. Nice to meet you. He suddenly realized and quickly asked, even a priest's identity is still unclear. Hayes hesitantly explained, I worship the god is Colossia, the god of tricks and illusions. My god does not have a good reputation. After introducing, it was also time for the guard captain to push the door open. He immediately said, if you are ready, let us go. Kezuri and Tyrannus did not say anything. Hayes and Kasane, after listening, were also a little uneasy. He spoke, we are here. Ketal watched with interest. He instructed, this is the connection to the dungeon. 3-story dungeon. The 3 others, after hearing, were surprised. Ketal was still indifferent. His eyes seemed ready, he ordered. Sweep the dungeon and bring back the badge. Ketal spoke. Now, we will start making a plan. Can you explain it? Hearing him ask caused Kasane to flinch. He scratched his head shyly. Mister? Ketal, he corrected him. You do not have to be polite. We are teammates. Right, Kasane? After listening, chuckled. He presented in confusion. Then, Ketal and the knight will volunteer to form the first line. I will take care of detecting traps. The priest in the back uses magic to assist in the battle. What do you think? Ketal happily agreed. I understand. Kasane, after seeing this, scratched his head shyly. After discussing the plan, he volunteered to lead. Then, let us proceed. All 4 entered the dungeon together. Inside the dungeon was only darkness. It seemed to have been severely damaged. Hayes anxiously thought, oh my god, I can't see anything. Kasane also observed once there were no guards or traps. Everything looked strangely calm. Suddenly he discovered something. Kasane signaled, "Wait, stop. There is a monster," he said suspiciously. "I do not see anything, but—" Kasane immediately pointed his finger. "Can you see those scattered bones on the ground? Those are bone soldiers. Just take another step. They will come back to life and rush to attack us." He thought uncomfortably, as expected, that despicable guard captain knew everything. This dungeon was not a test to train, but a trap to eliminate outsiders from the start. Gital propped his hand up and said, without much surprise, "Bone soldiers." Kasane explained, "Bone soldiers are not easy monsters to deal with. Even if their body is injured or their limbs are severed, they still move as normal. Moreover, with a body made of bones, their ability to defend is extremely strong. The difficulty of this dungeon exceeds my expectations." Kasane quickly corrected the formation. "Hey, priest, get your magic ready." "Old man, prepare your shield well, Gital. You also have to be ready. I will focus on finding loopholes during the battle." He reminded, even if their body is destroyed, they still move, so you have to aim for the weak point in the neck. Moreover, because they are too hard, you have to hit multiple times in one place to take them down. Seeing him lead quite well caused him to give him a compliment. He gently entered, looking at the bone soldiers as if having a reaction. He looked at them with interest. The bone soldiers have begun to stand up to fight. Tyrannus was ready to defend. Hayes then chanted, "Kasane with a battle posture at any time." While Kato raised his hand to do something, the bone soldiers aggressively rushed to. He immediately waved his hand, causing them to not have time to do anything. He calmly watched them shatter. The bone fragments gradually disappeared. Seeing this scene, Tyrannus was surprised and gawked his mouth. And Kasane and Hayes could not help but be horrified. Gital smirked. Then he said excitedly, "Oh, Kasane, you said it correctly. Just destroy the head, and they will stop moving." Seeing this, he smiled awkwardly. His mind became numb. "This is not what I meant. Bone soldiers are creatures made of bones, and their bones are as hard as steel. Even an experienced swordsman, if they can't use aura, will almost be unable to sever bones in one strike. Not to mention, it is also enhanced by the magic of the dungeon. The only way to destroy them is to focus the attack on the neck. Like chopping down a big tree, you have to break their cervical vertebrae. It is unbelievable that you can blow their heads off and grind them into dust like that." Kasane cautiously thought, "From the first time I met him, I knew he was strong, but I did not expect it to be to that extent. Is he really human?" Seeing his three teammates stare blankly at him caused him to not understand. Gital immediately turned around. He confidently said, "That is right, let us move on." After listening, all three hurriedly followed behind him. He immediately said, "There is no need to rush like that." Kasane replied, seriously, "Yes," the two of them secretly cried. "I do not want to lose my life here." His eyes paid attention to something on the ground. He stopped in front of a skull. All four stood looking at them. The bones were broken into many parts. He quickly said, "Bone soldiers," causing Hayes to immediately panic. Kasane stood still, listening. This time it was real, and Tyrannus was also calmer than before. "They are rushing over." He asked for help. "Can I ask everyone for something?" All three timidly wondered. "What?" he proposed. "Let me deal with these hateful bones myself. I want to check a few things." Kasane immediately obeyed, and Hayes also agreed. Gital, fiercely full of murderous intent, replied, "Thank you very much." Standing in front of the bone soldiers, all three in a state of suspense thought, what is he going to do? He watched with interest. What is this structure like? It is quite strange. It swung its sword to finish him. He immediately used 2 fingers to block its attack. Gital decisively broke the sword in half in an instant and asked, "Now what are you going to do?" The bone soldier recoiled backwards. It powered up again, then aimed directly at him. He gently dodged the blow, then grabbed its wrist. Gital became excited. "How are you going to handle this?" The bone soldier's hand fell down. In his hand was the ash of bones gradually dissolving. The bone soldier blankly looked at his hand being broken quickly. Immediately it glared at him. It flipped the sword up. The sword spun in the air. It then grabbed it with its other arm. He smiled at it. Turned out, you also know how to switch hands. It rushed to attack him again. He grabbed its other arm, then broke it, causing it to not have time to react. It was pushed back again, then continued to rush up. He observed its actions. Gital swung his fist and said, "You can even change fighting positions. Your mind is not ordinary." Hayes at this time was scared to tremble. The 2 others also trembled in disbelief. He grabbed the skull of the bone soldier. His whole body exuded an overwhelming murderous aura. The sword in its hand fell to the ground, he said sternly. You really are a strong man. Kital excitedly swung his fist. Kasane was pale with fear and could not speak. The skull of the bone soldier separated from the body. His eyes stared at it. He decisively lifted his foot up and said, "So you can still move with your head, how interesting." After grinding it, he happily asked his teammates about the situation. "Did everyone have to wait long? I am sorry for making everyone wait." Kasane reacted violently and said, "No, do whatever you want," he replied, "Thank you." Looking at the ashes on the ground, Kasane followed behind him and was afraid of this power. Kital spoke, "Then, let us continue," causing all three to obey. His feet continued to step forward. 4 people stopped in one place. Kasane realized, this is the second floor. Everyone looked down at the stairs. The group gradually entered. Hayes followed behind, a little worried, and Kasane took off his face mask and sighed. He had an opinion. How about we rest for a while? Ketol raised his hand and considered. "You have a point. It is good to rest for a while." After listening, Kasane bowed his head in thanks. Kital sat in a corner to rest calmly. The remaining 3 sat to rest, not daring to do anything more. He spoke to break the awkward atmosphere. "I have a few questions about this dungeon," causing Hayes to say in surprise, "What?" He looked around and said, "Honestly, I do not know much." Hayes hesitantly replied, "No, the desire to learn is a treasure. I also do not know much." Hearing her say that, he also replied, "Thank you." She curiously looked at him and asked, "What are you wondering?" Kital spoke of his guess. "This dungeon is quite close to the territory. So is not there a problem with the dungeon and the monsters?" She immediately raised her hand and explained, basically, the monsters in the dungeon can't spill out. Of course, there are exceptions, but those cases have been controlled and dealt with before. At this time, Kasane was trying to think. He immediately explained, dungeons are originally a natural phenomenon. Sometimes they are caves, sometimes they are towers. Dungeons often appear near where many people live. He, after listening, seemed to understand. Therefore, there is this dungeon here. Hayes continued, "When the dungeon appears, the territory will assess the level of danger. Then we, the outsiders, mercenaries, or guards, will take action." He, seeing this, seemed interested. He immediately wondered, "So that means there are no dungeons in the territory?" She explained, "No, dungeons only appear at a certain distance, away from residential areas." He seemed to understand what she meant. "I see." His face was as bright as a flower, and said, "If it is a dungeon, there must be rewards after passing through, right?" She was linked to monsters, and calmly replied, "That is right. On the last floor, there will be a boss. If you take down the boss, you will receive many types of rewards with a dungeon like this. The rewards are definitely not bad." He smirked, like playing a game. Hearing him say that, she asked suspiciously, "What is a game?" He carelessly passed, "I am just mumbling." He continued, "I have one more question." She did not refuse. "Yes, ask away." He immediately asked, "Who created this dungeon?" causing her to blank out and not know what to say. She confusedly replied, "Dungeons originally formed naturally. No one created them." That seemed unbelievable. First, they always appeared near areas where people live, as if someone deliberately arranged for us to go explore. He pondered, "They appear near where there are many people and seduce with attractive rewards." Then refuted, "I see that as an artificial arrangement rather than a natural phenomenon." She was startled and realized there really is a reason. She pondered, "I have never thought of this perspective, because I always thought it was normal." Kasane also became hesitant to think. "In fact, I have never thought deeply about that. No, I have never even suspected. Because it is a clear principle, an undeniable truth, could it be that this barbarian dares to doubt such a clear truth?" He chained the information. Barbarians have always been a species of ignorant and brutal, the heartless and bloodthirsty. This truth has never changed. If what I know is true, then this barbarian, is he really just a normal barbarian? He immediately said, "It is really interesting," causing Kasane to also become tense. Ketol stood up as if ready and asked, "Everyone, have you finished resting?" All 3 quickly stood up, following him. He flicked his hand and said, "Then, let us continue." The 4 continued the journey. They observed the situation. Suddenly there was something that caught his attention. It was a chest. He immediately asked, "What is that?" Kasane spoke, "That is a treasure chest, one of the rewards of the maze," but then pondered, "It is easy to say, but to open this high-end chest, you need a good thief, at least proficient in lockpicking. But if he has reached that level, he does not need to risk it in this dungeon. Unfortunately, we have to pass on this chest." Suddenly Kital ordered, "Kasane, open it." After listening, he froze for a few seconds, thinking, "What?" He watched with interest and said, "That is a treasure chest." "And you are a thief, right?" Kasane replied, pale with fear. "Ah, that is right." But Kital immediately cut off excitedly. "Treasure chests are not the work of thieves, so I am telling you to try. I want to see the talent of a thief with my own eyes." Kasane, after listening, immediately closed his eyes uncomfortably. Oh, God, that is not wrong, but there is a problem. If I could, I would not be here. Then he put on a helpless expression, petrified on the spot. Kasane anxiously thought, a poor thief, not recognized by the gang. Where would he get lock-picking skills? But I can't tell them the truth. He looked at Katal. Those eyes were full of anticipation. If I try and fail, it will turn into disappointment immediately. Kasane imagined a creepy scene about Katal if you can't do it. Just thinking about it is enough to scare him to death. He scratched his head and said, "Then I will try." But his heart secretly screamed. Katal curiously watched. Are you using some kind of tool to pick the lock? How true. And Kasane was doing it while worrying. He is staring at me from behind. If I fail, I will lose my life. He tried to urge his memory. Remember, the skills I once saw when following him as a porter. Kato kept exuding murderous intent right behind him. He sweated helplessly, betting his whole life here, the scream from his soul. Kasane's face suddenly became serious again. Even Katal found it difficult to understand because of this unusual appearance. The result was that Kasane was so emotional that he could not say a word. Hey, it is open. Priest, after listening, was also happy. Really? I heard that only very talented thieves can open treasure chests. I did not expect to meet it directly, so great. Katal immediately followed and cheered. Really well done. Kasane has always been proud of his ability to survive. It should not be possible. What is wrong? Just glanced at it and did it. So magical. But at this moment, it was the time Kasane doubted this life. Have I really done my best before? Then Katal looked at the mirror treasure. How much is this place worth? Priest mumbled. With this place, an average family can live luxuriously for a month. Katal's mouth created a perfect curve. I see. I have accepted. Kasane, you take care of arranging the rewards. According to the order, Kasane picked up the whole treasure into the basket. Bearing the name of a thief, he always eyed everything. Because of Ketal's call, Kasane's soul almost disappeared. After cleaning up, they were also preparing to leave. The group stopped at a place in the cave. Ketal raised his eyes to the front. Wait, bone soldiers? Looking at the number of heads, there are 4. I will take care of 3. Suddenly, the 3 others felt an indescribable nervousness. Because they know Ketal's tactics, the remaining one will be left to everyone. Although worried, Kasane thought this was real combat. Yes. The other 2 also agreed to receive the order, understood, getting closer to observe. In the eyes of the skull, there was a strange light flashing. It made Kasane chill down his spine, even if he had seen it many times. Seeing the bones assembling themselves was still scary. Everyone was in a battle-ready posture. The skeletons woke up as if they were alive, shuffling and soulless, only aiming at the people they consider enemies. Tyrannus's body exuded the power of a holy knight. The priest began to pray to add energy to everyone, and Kasane was the one to perform the opening attack. His body glided swiftly like a breeze. The first slashed directly at the neck. The purpose of doing this was to distract the others, so that Ketal could have the opportunity to grasp them. Come on, this scene is very rare. Do not break it, I will take care of you. One of them also knew how to use a sword. The way he lowered his sword was decisive and strong, making it a little difficult for Tyrannus. In the midst of this crisis, behind him was Kasane's support. One hit from him was enough to make the skeleton lose its balance. At the same time, Priest entered the magic she had created. Illusion of darkness, a type of energy transferred to Tyrannus. Thanks to this, the path of his sword easily pierced through the target. The last skeleton fell to the ground. Its neck gradually cracked into pieces. A tattered body with no fighting strength left. Laugh because he had achieved his wish came from Ketal. I did not expect to see a model formation in action. It is really rare. He immediately crushed the skull he had harvested. Now then, the worries have been taken care of. Let us enjoy. In Kasane's place, he also had to quickly finish the skeletons off. In the heads of the 3 people other than Ketal, there was a common thought, no doubt. This barbarian is testing us. Everyone's eyes turned to the only skeleton left. It did not understand why everyone was looking at it so strangely. In fact, they were standing in the middle of a threat. So everyone needs life. If we reveal our weakness, we will die. That unlucky skeleton also had to return to the motherland. The vitality that maintained the life of the skeletons was also withdrawn. Everyone knelt down because of the feeling they had just experienced. Perhaps they all cherished their existence. Ketal recalled the characters he had met, no doubt. The people in the snow-covered wilderness are also quite okay. The monster on the 3rd floor was also a bone soldier. The number also increased. But thanks to Catal leading, we passed without any trouble, and finally, there was still one more challenge that the group had to go through. Kasane did not express too much when standing in front of that scene. The deepest room of the dungeon was a bone soldier knight. Priest's eyes contained tons of fear. Impossible, why is there something like that here? Only Catal showed calmness, different from the ones before. Priest knew very well about it, a bone knight, swinging a long sword easily, if not on par with a knight level, there is no chance to fight it. This is not the kind of monster we can handle. In any situation, Catal needs to know the opponent's information. What if we can't defeat it and return? Priest answered the question. There will be an investigation. If they see a reasonable reason, then we do not have any problems. It was unclear what Catal was laughing about. Everyone looked at him with different eyes. Only he knew what Catal was thinking. There is a reason. That bone soldier knight had discovered an intruder. He stood up and turned his hateful gaze towards them. Yet Catal's demeanor was still leisurely. A skeleton that can maintain its shape. Interesting. The bone soldier did not respond, but only wanted to destroy the obstacle. Priest knew what he was going to do and what he would do. She immediately used a shield to protect everyone. But his slash caused Priest's shield to crack. If it continues like this, she won't be able to bear it. And then what comes must come. The bone soldier completely destroyed the shield. Fortunately, there was still the shield that Tyrannus always carried with him. If Priest really got hit by this, it would be difficult to return alive. However, Catal's heart was still as straight as the lake surface. Oh! And Tyrannus's face was green. One blow. To that extent, he is too strong. The bone soldier was preparing to throw a second blow. The next development will probably end in Catal's way. He had wanted to try dealing with the bone soldier since then. A punch from Catal slid across his stomach. Who would have thought that this much would be enough to defeat such a dangerous bone soldier? Kasane, Priest, and Tyrannus stared blankly without saying a word. Catal dusted his hands, causing white dust to fall. Is that it? Perhaps now Catal noticed everyone's expressions. It is actually more about paying attention to what is behind everyone, Kasane. He turned around and his face was horrified, yes. It was a treasure chest that Catal liked the most. Can you open it? Not even caring what is inside, Kasane refused immediately. It is protected by a high-level lock. With my ability, I can't open it. Catal nodded. I see, unlucky. Suddenly Kasane felt relieved. It is really a pity, but let us give up. As soon as he finished speaking, Catal used force to punch straight into the treasure chest. Kasane's eyes seemed to want to fly out. Not thinking Catal would be so violent as to destroy the mirror. The two others did not even have time to recover after the surprise just now. It seems that Catal only cares about the result, that is right, but the reward may be very big, Kasane, you clean it up. Never has a thief like Kasane felt so bored. Using force to open the chest, it is the first time he has ever seen it. But if he can smash it, then what is the point of asking me to unlock it? After a few hours, they also saw the sunlight. Above the dungeon, there was a sound of scattered stones falling. Catal curiously turned his head. All the rocks were starting to sink. This was common for Kasane. Once a dungeon is cleared, it will disappear, so there is probably no secret room this time. What is new will also have Catal. Secret room. Is there such a thing? Kasane was suspicious but still replied, although rare, they do exist. Catal's demeanor showed that he definitely wanted to go find it. It sounds fun. Kasane stood next to him in a daze, not understanding. They had returned to report to the guard captain. What? It is done. He wanted to investigate, half believing and half doubting. So what is the dungeon like? Only Catal reported this. It was very fun, the captain replied incredulously. I see. Then I will continue with the city entry procedures. Each person follow me. The first was, Priest, there were no major problems. The captain asked very seriously. So do you think that Barbarian can stay in the territory? Priest did not look into the eyes of the person opposite. I think it should be okay. The captain knew that attitude. Speaking of that Barbarian, she was only talking vaguely. Conquering the dungeon is not the problem. But the process, the real purpose, is to track down dangerous individuals. It was Kasane's turn. He was not the type to cause trouble. After receiving the interview, the captain concluded that he is as strong as a monster, but he won't harm anyone. He is different from a normal barbarian. The last person was Catal. Kasane did a good job. As a thief, he cleared traps and tried to open chests. Alessandro was also a powerful frontline warrior, and Hayes' prayers also supported us a 5 lot. He was still speaking, while the captain just stared. It is strange. Usually when strangers are forced to team up to conquer a dungeon, they do not praise each other like this. Although he did not want to, the captain had to admit, very good. You are allowed to enter. Although permitted, but if you cause trouble, you will be chased away. Be careful. This is the conquest reward. Everyone divided among yourselves. Kettle looked at the pushed bag. Often the guards would take the rewards, but this time it seemed that they did not touch it. Thank you very much. Then let us divide it equally. All three refused. Oh no, no need. Me too. Kettle resolutely wanted to divide it. The team has worked together. We must share the rewards equally. You can't refuse. Then let us go for a celebratory drink. Let us see if there is a tavern nearby. Everyone's faces were like they had been possessed by evil. Celebrate, yes, yes. But in their hearts they did not want to. Oh God, I want to go home. The captain kept looking at Ketal's back, a barbarian who killed a bone knight with one punch. As strong as a monster, at least as strong as a knight, definitely not an ordinary barbarian. A legendary barbarian, an unusual individual. The captain also needed to do the most important thing. I will report to the Lord. You guys guard the gate. At the Lord's residence, he was dealing with his own work, but he still did not hesitate to receive guests. Come in. The captain solemnly placed his hand on his shoulder. I would like to report to you. This is Lord Luke of the Kingdom of Gehent. What is wrong? He recounted everything. The captain of guard team number 1 reports to the Lord. A barbarian has entered the territory. At the luxurious mansion, everything was still shrouded in the quiet atmosphere as usual. Inside Luke's room, there was a problem to be solved. You approved it. The captain said ponderously, That is right. It is not a big problem. Luke inquired, Then what is the problem? When recalling, the captain brought anxiety. He is too strong. Being strong is enough to become a problem. Luke himself was curious. How strong? The captain's next words made Luke stunned. They said he defeated the Bone Knight with a single punch. Luke knew this name very well. A Bone Knight? A type of monster that cannot be handled unless at the knight level, and he took him down in one hit. A barbarian, simple-minded, uneducated, always trying to use brute force to solve everything. Luke unwittingly guessed. So he is top class. The captain replied, It is possible, Luke added, and he may be even stronger. This, the captain could not clearly determine. This truth was absolutely too difficult for Luke to believe. A warrior at that level, and also a barbarian, a race that believes strength is the truth, this will be a headache. For now, just call him. Hearing this, the captain could not help but worry. Will you be okay? It seemed that Luke had a plan. Just letting such a strong man roam in the territory is already reckless. I will probably be better off meeting him directly, the captain wanted to prevent. It could be dangerous. In Luke's words, 7 parts were confidence. I have my own knight. It seemed to be the first time the captain had met this person. Luke turned to ask the knight, What do you think? The knight's tone was full of challenge. He is really strong, but he is just a barbarian, a muscular man with no intelligence. Faced with my swordsmanship, who was taught directly by the sword saint, he is not good enough. Luke felt things were much easier. Call the barbarian, I will talk to him directly. Ketal was still enjoying wine after the mission. He chewed everything on the table. Everyone just watched him eat without touching anything. They could not imagine the terrible eating power of this barbarian. Ketal slammed the wine glass down on the table. This is delicious. The shop is good. I also like the quiet space. I am paying today. Eat and drink comfortably. After he said this, no one dared to touch their chopsticks. Ketal suddenly paid attention to Tyrannus. You are a holy knight, right? What holy power do you use? I did not see you use it during the dungeon raid. Tyrannus replied as if he had memorized the script. I am still practicing, so my holy power has not awakened yet. After that, Ketal only showed regret without asking more. He turned to Priest. You said the god you serve is named Colossia. Is there a temple nearby? Priest always avoided eye contact when answering, no, I do not think there is. He is not a welcomed god. The god of deceit and trickery, Colossia, is hated and ostracized by everyone. Priest clung tightly to her skirt. Mr. Ketal, how strong are you? Kusan and Tyrannus did not believe that she could ask like that. A person like Ketal does not overthink much. Regarding the hierarchy, I am also not clear. I have not left the snow-covered wilderness for long, so I am also very curious. How strong is a bone knight? Priest answered the question, at least 2nd rank to handle him, and if it is 1st rank, you can defeat him, like Mr. Ketal did. Ketal said casually, then it is probably 2nd rank. Suddenly the shop owner trembled behind him. Excuse me? Well, our shop is preparing to close. Just answering normally, and Ketal scared people. It is my fault. Let us go. Does everyone have any plans or schedules coming up? Before anything, the 3 reacted violently. Yes, we do. Yes, very busy. Ketal was not too strict. I understand. Too bad. Then let us part here. See you again someday. The thoughts of the 3 of them were, No need to meet again. Returning to the place of residence, Ketal immediately dropped onto the bed. That is great. Is this the first time I have been able to lie on a bed since coming to this world? I am glad I was able to stay at the inn, thanks to the rewards from the dungeon without this trouble. Compared to the snow-covered wilderness, this place is truly paradise. It has also been quite some time since I woke up in the snow-covered wilderness until I found civilization, so what do I do now? I want to experience more, feel more. I want an adventure, the sanctuary of the elf race, Magic Tower, and the capital. Early the next morning, Ketal was sleeping soundly without caring about the world. Because he woke up, because he heard someone knocking on the door outside, the captain was a little surprised to see him. "Oh, did I wake you up? Sorry." Ketal asked Captain of the Guards, "What is wrong?" Trying to regain as much composure as possible, the captain said clearly, "The Lord wants to meet you directly." That was something new for Ketal, the Lord who ruled this land, the owner of this whole territory. Such a character wants to meet me. Seeing Ketal being very expectant, got it. Should I go now? Let me get dressed and go right away. The captain was thinking if he came to the right place so easy. Ketal entered this place again. When I first entered this territory, it was dark, so I only glanced at it. But seeing it in the daytime, it is really impressive. If this is a lucky fantasy, then I will always welcome it. The captain wanted to yell at Ketal that, "What is wrong with this guy?" There was not much time left. He had to return as soon as possible. The captain had arrived at the mansion. "I brought the barbarian here, Lord." Luke had been standing here waiting. "Let him in." When Ketal prepared to enter inside, Luke reached out to welcome. "It is a pleasure to meet you, barbarian. I am Luke Barkin, Lord of this land." Ketal returned the handshake. "It is a pleasure to meet you, the legitimate Lord of the Barkin territory. I am the barbarian Ketal." Just a simple handshake in place of a greeting. Yet for Luke, it was something too new. A barbarian, shake hands. Barbarians never shake hands. For them, strength is everything, and there are no exceptions, it seems. I have lived long enough to see these scenes. Luke coughed a few times. "It seems you have learned some basic etiquette. Sit down." The two sat opposite each other on the luxurious table. Everything was both glamorous and extravagant to Ketal. So this is what the Lord's castle looks like. Even in the fantasy world, the castle still looks exactly like the Middle Ages. That is, a knight protecting the Lord. As a child, I really liked playing knight RPGs. I did not expect to see a real knight in real life. It is great, just like I imagined. Luke's personal knight caught Ketal's eyes. Murderous intent. It was really murderous intent. There was no mistaking it. Daring to exude this kind of murderous intent in front of the Lord. "You idiot, you won't be able to leave here alive." Luke's voice made him stop his actions. "The reason I called you is very simple. I just want to confirm a few things about you." Ketal was ready to answer anything. Up to you. What do you want to confirm?" Luke's first question, "Where did you come from?" Ketal did not hesitate to talk about his hometown. "So that is what is important to you." "I come from the coldest place in this world, a place covered by white snow." Perhaps Luke knew very well that place, the snow-covered wilderness. He really is the legendary barbarian warrior, and now he is standing right in front of me. Luke slowly said, "Unbelievable." Ketal sighed. "It is a cruel place. Believe it or not is up to you." Luke temporarily skipped that issue. "Then, let me ask you something else. How strong are you?" What was important that Luke was thinking was, how scary is his strength, right? Ketal found such questions difficult to explain. Wrong question. "I do not know what the power standards are outside." Luke winked at the personal knight entering the next plan. "Then, would you like to compete with one of my knights? If you agree, I will ensure you are rewarded accordingly." Ketal blankly asked again. "A competition?" To be careful, Luke instructed very carefully. "Of course, it won't be a death match. I believe you will keep it within limits." Yet Ketal agreed. "I like that." A fight with a knight. In Ketal's heart, he had been waiting for this day for a long time. A knight, not an ordinary knight, but a knight in the fantasy world, one who possesses real mysteries and aura. An opportunity to witness real combat skills. I am really looking forward to this. Luke was still unable to look at Ketal normally, as expected. A barbarian is still a barbarian. Even if he is polite, the wild nature that likes to fight and enjoy the battle does not change. A murderous aura wanting to fight radiating from Ketal made the two others shudder a little. At Lord Luke's arena, the audience watching the match was only him. The two stood opposite each other for a long time. It could be seen that the knight was feeling nervous. Ketal just kept smiling from the time he arrived here. Luke spoke. Then let us begin. I hope no one sheds blood. The bells starting the battle rang. The knight opened his mouth. Consider it an honor to witness my swordsmanship, you lowly barbarian. Catal did not have the time to elevate himself. I am also quite looking forward to it. That made the knight very upset. How dare he relax like that? I will show you the overwhelming difference in skills. Now then, let us see what you do, barbarian. Although there was only one sword in his hand, yet 3 blades appeared. Catal widened his eyes because he did not know how the opponent could do that. Split into 3. Is it an illusion? No, this is not an illusion. All 3 swords are real. Is this swordsmanship? In the knight's eyes was, as expected. You have to struggle to dodge my sword. You doing that much is already very impressive. But this battle does not need to continue anymore. Now Catal was willing to unleash a move. He just flicked his finger, and the blade broke in half. The knight could not attack anymore, huh? What? Because he had been grabbed by Catal. He crushed his armor. Kisser was ready to throw away a person, like throwing away a piece of white paper. Luke was terrified, as if possessed. What? Because his knight had completely failed. With just one move, a level 1 knight had been defeated. What kind of terrifying power is this? Catal slowly turned his leg back. So it is over like this, right? Luke's face now was exactly speechless. He had been looking at Catal since just now. Finally, it was very difficult to say a word, yes. The battle just now had followed Luke relentlessly. A barbarian can take down a level 1 knight with just one move. That is monster power. At least it must reach the transcendent level. But that is just the minimum power. The depth of that power cannot be measured. A barbarian possessing such power may shake the balance of the world. If so, then I should report to that person, one of the few people in this wide world who bear the title of Sword Saint. Luke looked gloomy. It is time for him to appear. I do not know if he is interested. Just mentioning people and they come. Were you mentioning me? That person went from the window door and did not make a sound. Luke knew well, so he just sighed. Your hobbies are still weird as always. Cain gripped his hand. Humans need some entertainment. So why do not you tell me that interesting story? Luke stood up to welcome the guest. It is an honor that you still came, even though I announced it suddenly. I would like to see the great sword saint, Mr. Cain. Cain's style has not changed, and neither has Luke. In the healing room, where the knight was lying, the door was suddenly pushed lightly. Luke had come to visit him. Has your body gotten better? The knight hurriedly sat up. I will be fine in a few days. I sincerely apologize to you. Cain spoke from behind. You should apologize to me. My stupid disciple was defeated by a nameless barbarian. Cain moved his eyes to the torn clothes on his body. There was not a single wound. Before coming here, Cain had seen the kid's armor completely destroyed. Looking at the condition of the armor, it would not be strange if he was dead, yet his clothes were only slightly torn. His body was clean without a scratch. Could it be that the barbarian had been lenient? Cain reasoned very deeply. He is not a stupid barbarian. He is someone who can control his power, very accurately too. And he also far exceeds the knight's level, to the point that he can afford to be lenient, at least transcendent level. Luke guessed that Cain would also say that. Forgive my rudeness, but compared to you, Mr. Cain. Cain's words showed his skill. He is also quite strong. But I am a sword saint. Even if he possesses transcendent level power, he can't touch me. But I did not see him use aura, yet his power has reached that level. That is impossible, according to the usual method. Is this the power of a barbarian from the snow-covered wilderness? At first Luke did not believe it, but it seems that he really came from the snow-covered wilderness. Cain's eyes narrowed. A barbarian from the snow-covered wilderness. The legend about a human who survived in the snow-covered wilderness, is he human, or is he a mutant? Cain's imagination had thought Catal was some kind of snake, or a porcupine that mutated into a bear, for example. Cain shook his head disappointedly. No way. If he really was a mutant, then he would not have been lenient with humans. I was wrong. But that is the snow-covered wilderness. Why that place and right now? Luke asked curiously. What is wrong? Cain made a decision. Nothing. That is for later. The Emperor, too. Always demanding the most bizarre things. Cain stared at Luke. Now there is no need to worry about that. That barbarian is still in this territory, right? Luke nodded yes. He said he would stay, so he probably is. Cain quickly left. I have to confirm myself. A voice rang out in the castle. What are you planning to do next? The guard captain stood silently observing him, while Catal hesitantly replied, probably. At that moment, someone held a bag of money and put it on the table and said, "This is the reward for the match just now," and Lord Luke spoke, "From now on, I will no longer interfere in your actions in the territory." Katal fully thought and said, "I do not have a specific plan, but it would be better if I could verify my identity every time I enter a new territory. I have to go fight a dungeon. It is too troublesome." Hearing this, the captain gave him advice. "If you are still worried about that, there is a way. You can ask a person of high status to be your protector, to vouch for your identity," or Katal did not understand, or the person answered him, "You can become a mercenary if you accumulate achievements and are recognized by the guild, then your identity will also be recognized." Saying this, he thought to himself, "However, mercenaries are just errand runners if they have not reached a certain level. With this barbarian's strength, finding a protector will be the easiest way." At this time, Katal still did not understand and asked again, "Mercenaries?" Katal seemed surprised and said, "There is such a way." He thought, mercenaries are people who specialize in receiving monster extermination missions, the embodiment of a romantic fantasy world, if so. After that, he smiled excitedly and said, "Where do I need to go to become a mercenary?" The captain was a little surprised and stunned and said, "Ah, there is a guild?" Hearing this, Katal excitedly laughed and said, "Take me there." Seeing his appearance, the captain blankly replied, "Okay." Mercenaries wander around to solve commissions. Some see them as a symbol of romantic freedom, but in reality, mercenaries are the lowest class in society. For those who are not recognized, even powerful mercenaries often have to die in unexplored dungeons, or are just scapegoats for dirty experiments, so the mercenaries at the bottom of society are often rude, dirty, and noisy. At the mercenary guild, a man with a fierce look punched another man in the face. "You bastard, how dare you touch me?" The person he hit lost his balance and fell backwards, crying out in pain. That person would not give in and shouted, "Want to fight?" That guy fiercely shouted, "Then come on." Two other men, standing, watching, laughed and said to each other, "Hey, the guy on the right, I am betting on you. Try to win." The other said, "I am betting on the guy on the left." Before that witness, the two men rushed in and grabbed each other's heads, looking funny and stupid. A girl sat on a chair and asked, "Rosa, how's this batch of recruits?" Rosa replied wearily, "Sigh, hopeless. All weirdos. There is a madman who calls himself a holy knight, and there is also a thief. The priest looks okay, but the god she serves is not trustworthy at all." After speaking, Rosa sighed in annoyance. That girl said helplessly, "I see. What a pity." Rosa sadly thought, "Sigh, no decent people appear, and the uneducated mercenaries only know how to fight all day. Ah, if only a Prince Charming would appear to save me from this receptionist job, that would be great." At that moment, there was the sound of someone's footsteps from outside the door. Rosa was absent-mindedly thinking and widened her eyes in surprise. She lifted her face to look at the person in front, a surprised expression. It was Katal with a bright face entering and asking, "So, this is the guild?" The two men who were fighting saw him and also stopped because they were attracted by his appearance. The others also froze for a moment. Impossible. A barbarian. Katal, seeing everyone silent, smiled, a confused expression. After that, he sat down and frankly said, "I came here because I want to become a mercenary." Rosa then trembled and stammered and asked him, "Ah, you want to be a mercenary, huh? Can I ask your purpose?" Katal comfortably replied, "There are many reasons, but I heard that if you become a mercenary, you can have your identity recognized." Rosa hesitantly explained, "That is right, however. To have your identity recognized through the mercenary path, you will have to achieve quite a lot. Is that okay?" Katal calmly replied, "No problem." Rosa asked him, "Then I will register you as a mercenary with a fee of 5 silver coins. Can you tell me your name?" Katal took out the coin and replied, "I am Katal. As for age, I am not sure." Rosa was a little scared and hurriedly typed, "Then I will take an approximate number." After finishing, she handed him a badge and said, "Done. Your mercenary registration is complete. This is your mercenary badge. It is a symbol of a mercenary. Do not lose it." Katal was a little stunned when he saw the badge. He held it to his heart and laughed and said, "I got accepted." Then he excitedly asked, "Are there any missions now?" "I want to start right away," Rosa replied. "Missions, that is right. Currently, these are the missions that you can receive." Katal picked up the notebook to look and was stunned. "Wait, is this all?" The form clearly stated the tasks he had to do, such as cleaning and patrolling. Rosa explained, "Because you are currently only a rank F mercenary, these are the tasks you can receive," she worriedly thought. "Barbarians are originally very arrogant. What if he suddenly gets angry? Should I call people?" She tried to say, "If you complete these simple tasks and accumulate achievements, then you will be able to receive more difficult tasks." As soon as she finished speaking, Kisher spoke, "I choose this mission." His words surprised Rosa. He decisively pointed to his mission level. Rosa asked incredulously, "Are you sure?" Ketal replied. "This is also something that needs to be done right, no problem," she said dazedly. "I understand." After that, he stood up and happily asked, then, "Where are the herbs that need to be picked?" Rosa handed a picture of the herb and said, "Ah, you have to go outside the village. They look like this." Ketal took the picture and left. "I understand. I will be right back," Rosa replied. "Yes." Rosa looked at his relaxed appearance in surprise. What is wrong? He looks so relaxed. Ketal opened the door and went out to do the mission. Meanwhile, Rosa and her friend were still in shock. Outside in the sky, Ketal held the picture and thought, herbs have the effect of healing wounds. It looks a little strange. After that, he threw his coat on the ground and said, "Then, I have prepared UV protection. Let us start the first mercenary mission." About 1 hour later, at the mercenary guild, Rosa's mouth dropped open in shock when she saw a bag full of herbs on the table. Ketal appeared and said innocently, "Is this enough?" Rosa said incredulously. "Too much," she thought. "He is a madman who wants to destroy the herb field or something." Rosa realized something and said, "Oh, but..." She looked at the herb flowers and sighed. "Their condition is very good. Most mercenaries only pull carelessly, causing the herbs to lose significant value." Ketal looked embarrassed and said confidently, looking like this, "I am quite confident in my meticulousness." Rosa dazedly replied, "Yes." She rewarded him a silver coin and thanked him. "Thank you for working hard, Ketal. This is the reward for the mission." A silver coin, the amount of money, is only enough to buy the cheapest meal. Even so, this is the first money I have earned from an honest job. So, touched because he worked hard to pick herbs, Ketal was very happy to receive the reward money. He just thought and smiled happily. Ketal quickly asked Rosa, "I am very satisfied. Is it possible to give me the next mission right away?" Making Rosa very surprised. "Huh?" She thought, "What is this? There is no way this reward is satisfying this barbarian." He smiled, and his face was excited and said, "The sky is still bright, so I want to do as much work as possible." Rosa was confused when she saw his attitude. Why does he look so happy? The more she thought, the more confused. Rosa helplessly cried in her heart, "Oh God, this mercenary is also just as weird." Immediately after, Ketal pointed to one item on the list and said, "This time I will choose this. It is cleaning the warehouse." Rosa was stunned. After the herb-picking mission, this is the third cleaning mission. Could it be that barbarians like to clean? Rosa confusedly said, Then let us accept this mission request." Transition scene to the storage warehouse. There was a sound of footsteps going down. A person there glanced at him. Kitty came and happily said, "I am here to clean the warehouse." That woman was surprised to see him. Ketal still asked innocently, "Are you the owner of this warehouse?" She replied, Yes, she was surprised. "A barbarian." He started cleaning everything. Cleaning the warehouse was simple. There were no problems moving the things inside. The next task was sweeping the streets. He picked up a broom and started sweeping. At first, controlling his strength was a bit difficult, but he still did it without major obstacles. While he was working, someone observed him from a distance through binoculars. Sword St. Cain was secretly following Ketal. What the heck is he doing? He thought, clearly at least transcendent level, someone strong enough to level a kingdom with just a fist. In other words, as long as he reveals his strength, he will be respected everywhere. Yet now he is here, doing the normal street sweeping job. He considered his working posture, and he was not working half-heartedly. Working seriously, Ketal was still diligently sweeping cleanly. He could not believe it. Why does he look like he is enjoying it? Outside, the sky was shining brightly. The scene was fresh. Ketal happily raised his hand, as if he had completed the job excellently. He stepped down to the ground and went outside. Ketal was stunned when he saw a bag of money placed on the table. A small bag of money was placed neatly on the table, seemingly for him. Rosa announced, "The first day of being a mercenary was smooth, Mr. Ketal. This is the reward for 15 missions." Ketal's eyes shone brightly, looking surprised and happy. Rosa smiled and said, "That is 15 silver coins." Ketal held the bag of money in his hand and said, "Goodbye. Thank you very much. I will be back tomorrow." Ketal smiled happily. "It is time to start my second day in town." Transition scene to another place. A little girl was crying. Everyone in town was surprised to see Ketal, and he comfortably walked in the town. Suddenly his footsteps stopped abruptly. Ketal was stunned. That is, a library in front of him was a spacious and quite well-maintained library. The doorbell outside rang as someone entered. The girl sitting in the library glanced and said, "Hello." Ketal came. The large and scary figure said, "Can I read books?" Inside were shelves full of books in the library. An open book was left on the table along with other books. Ketal comfortably sat reading in the library. He diligently sat reading, a serious appearance. Cain followed him and assessed. A barbarian, reading books? I can't see him, but no doubt I can feel it. A barbarian, violent and rude, reading books. Do barbarians from the snow-covered wilderness also have some habits that are not the same as others? Or is just this barbarian special? Ketal at this time had finished reading the history book and closed it, so the Empire finally won. A few years ago, Milena had come to the snow-covered wilderness and said that she would sell weapons to the kingdom in the battle with the Empire. Even so, the Empire had won that battle. Currently, the Empire is extremely powerful. The Varkan kingdom has almost become a tributary state. The Empire has swallowed half of the human world and is still continuing to expand the invasion. As if wanting to swallow this whole world. Ketal sat thinking, conquering the world. Okay, that is enough about humanity. Now let us see something more interesting. Let us see what this book writes about non-human races. He continued reading another book. Ketal excitedly thought, a compilation book about non-human creatures. The mysterious things written in this book really exist in this world. The greatest cave in the world, full of rare ores such as precious pearls, the cave of the dwarves, Mantiana, fairy village, Pisarapia, the city in the clouds of the celestial race, Lagomir, and the unreachable sanctuary, the sanctuary of the entire elf race, Elfo Sagrado. No one knows where it is, even though the powerful rulers have used all sorts of methods to find its location but have still failed. Ketal read and felt interested. So surely a lot of people have tried to find the sanctuary of the elf race. Suddenly, he widened his eyes in surprise. Wait, are there more areas like the snow-covered wilderness, demon realm? Places that reject the presence of humans and are full of strange things. There are quite a few demon realms that exist, but in this world there are 5 areas that are particularly large. The silent forest, where everything falls into immobility. The abyss, where evil is sown throughout the world. The deep sea, where primates breathe and survive. The infinite black hole, where nothing exists. And the snow-covered wilderness. Inside these demon realms reside terrible monsters called incarnations of destruction. However, these demon realms cannot invade human territory. Ketal was curious. How wide is this world? He thought, and there are still many places, like the snow-covered wilderness. After that, he stood up and said, surely this is all the information here. He smiled and said, the information is really useful, thank you. The receptionist smiled in return. Yes, of course. After that, he opened the door and went outside. Ketal came to the guild and asked, Rosa, what missions are there today? Rosa startled and replied, Mr. Ketal, you have arrived. Here is the mission request form today. Ketal smiled and took it. Sword St. Cain spoke. He is really strange. I should probably meet him directly. On a clear and breezy moonlit night, Ketal walked while thinking. Today I solved a dozen more requests. Even the small amounts accumulated turn out to be quite a lot. With this momentum, the day I get recognized as a true mercenary won't be far away. Hearing Ketal's voice, Sword St. Cain hid in the corner. Waiting for Ketal to get close, Cain came to stop him. Cain's eyes were full of murderous intent. Ketal spoke. You have been following me all day. Hearing that, Cain was startled. Did he discover? Ketal asked seriously. What do you want? I have completely hidden my presence. Even if his senses are sharp, identifying me is impossible. Could it be that he is a robber? Suddenly someone thought I was a robber. Cain's words were like a bolt out of the blue. No answer. Then I must be right. Although security here seems good, there are still crooks around. Cain hesitated. And thought, would he believe me if I said I was a sword saint? Old and still going around robbing, surely the economy is in a worse situation than I thought. Ketal was silent and thinking. Defeating and handing him over would be a good achievement. Cain was confused. What? Actually, this might be a good opportunity. He thinks I am a robber. So fighting him directly is probably the best way to assess his strength and identity. Ketal gradually approached Cain's place even more. Seeing that Cain retreated behind, Ketal's figure became closer and closer. Then suddenly disappeared. He disappeared. Suddenly appearing again, made Cain scream. What is this? Ketal intended to catch Cain. Cain hurriedly dodged. If I just stood there blankly, he would grab my nape. Cain's reflexes were quite fast, so Ketal, O-H-H-E-D, and praised. Not bad. Impossible, he almost caught me. If my reflexes were just a little slower, then I would have been caught, but more surprising is that I can't feel any aura from him at all. He moved so fast again, with just a pure human body. The probe is over, now it is real. I will give it my all. Ketal stood still, observing what he was going to do. He had just wanted to do something, when Cain was grabbed by Ketal. How can it be? I had expanded my senses, but I was still unable to react. He tightened Cain's hand. This was not simply being grabbed, it was as if my arm was stuck in a solid rock, and then my whole body was dragged away. What kind of ghostly power is this? This is not even a competition of strength. If so, I will give it my all and release my power. Ketal stopped because of Cain's reflection. Cain's body emitted a strange aura. Taking advantage of that, Cain pushed Ketal out. That divine weapon shone brightly. Cain tried to regain his balance. The divine weapon also gradually disappeared. Cain frowned, looking at Ketal. Today's robbers surely have all kinds of moves. Cain still did not understand. Why does he keep calling me a robber? Eruption of mana, a level that only the elite can reach. I have wrapped my whole body in mana. How could someone like me go robbing? But he really believes that I am a robber. Cain still did not know what to say to Ketal. I instinctively erupted mana. The mana that was erupted can easily tear apart special steel. A human body should have been crushed with just one touch, yet he was not even affected. What kind of body can withstand that power? Ketal said to Cain. I do not know what tricks you are using, but I think it is time to end this. Cain intended to draw his sword, but he could not draw it, because Ketal used his index finger to block it. Cain used all his strength, but everything was meaningless. Cain's facial muscles changed color. The more he tried, the more helpless he became. A light flashed. Ketal reached out forward. Cain screamed loudly. Is it over? In the blink of an eye, Ketal had grabbed Cain. So robbing in the fantasy world is like this. The guard captain of the Barbarian region asked, Mandi, what is this? He then gave the guard captain to see. What the heck is going on? Why is Sword Saint Cain here? Don't tell me. That Mandi attacked Mr. Cain, so what to do now? Ketal spoke. I caught a robber. The guard captain was startled. A robber? If I hand him over to the guards, it will be counted as my mercenary achievement, right? He was at a loss with the words that Ketal had just said. What exactly is this situation? A person who has reached the transcendent level, Sword Saint Cain, and that very person was captured by a Mandi in a very humiliating position. That person is not a robber. You know him. Ah, so you are an accomplice. He stood up straight, respectfully saluted. The only Sword Saint in the Gehentra Kingdom, I would like to express my respect to Sword Saint Cain. Ketal looked at Cain in amazement. Sword Saint, that noble title, yet he was called a robber. Impossible. This old man is a robber. He attacked me to rob the silver coins. No, he really is a Sword Saint. I can't mistake that face, Ketal interrupted. He might be a mage using illusions. If he is a mage strong enough to do that, he will still be respected as much as a Sword Saint. No matter how much the guard captain explained, Ketal still tried to deny. Maybe Sword Saint is just a flowery name for robbers. Causing the guard captain to turn green with anger. What the hell are you saying? So he is really a Sword Saint. I will report this to the Lord. After the guard captain of the Barbarian region reported about Ketal's behavior, he slammed the table and said, What, mister? Cain was defeated. Ketal hurriedly apologized to Cain. I am sorry, I should have let you explain. No, I am also at fault for not saying anything. Seeing Ketal and Cain keep apologizing back and forth, Lord Luke Barkin could not believe his eyes. What the heck is going on? I had guessed that Mr. Obeli, Cain would look for the Mandi to duel, but I never thought he would lose, Mr. Cain has been defeated by the Mandi. I do not know the details, but that is the truth. That means that Mandi is stronger than a Sword Saint. Of course, even if they are at the transcendent level, there are still different levels, Mr. Cain has only recently become a Sword Saint, so perhaps he is still at a fairly low level. But a Sword Saint is someone who has achieved a noble title, a master of swordsmanship. And that Mandi has defeated such a person, that makes him completely uncontrollable. My head hurts too much. It seems there is a misunderstanding here, so I will take my leave. The two of you should talk clearly. So, saying that, Lord Luke hesitated when Ketal and Cain kept looking at each other silently, because currently Ketal still did not know how to open his mouth to Cain. How humiliating. Even so, I can't refute. It was a complete failure. My pride was not only hurt, it was shattered, like a piece of trash. Let me introduce myself properly. I am Sword Saint Cain. Sword Saint, is that your last name? Cain replied. Once you reach the Sword Saint realm, a human's last name becomes meaningless. I understand. By the way, the thing you showed just now is a Sword Saint's move. At this time, Cain was somewhat confused with Ketal's question. You mean this? Seeing that move again. Ketal, O-H-H-E-D. At first, I thought it was just a trick of robbers, so I did not pay much attention. But now that I know it is the skill of a Sword Saint, I am starting to get interested. This is the embodiment of arcane arts, also called aura. Ketal then asked again, aura. So that is aura. How can I learn it? Basically, you have to reveal it by controlling arcane arts. So is arcane arts similar to mana? Arcane arts is used to refer to the mysterious power in everyone's body. When you use it as aura, you are a swordsman. When you use it as mana, you are a mage. So both swordsmen and mages use the same type of power called arcane arts. Are you willing to teach me that skill? Shamefully, I am still learning and lacking in knowledge. I beg you, please, teach me. But do you really need my guidance? Are not you stronger than me? I do not know anything about arcane arts or swordsmanship. The truth is, I just swing randomly. Cain thought, that is right. I am a sword saint. I may have lost, but I have not even drawn my sword. Okay, I will teach this man Dai a few sword skills and show him its greatness. And I will regain my shattered pride. After thinking for a while, Cain decided to teach Ketal. Okay, I am a sword saint who uses a sword. Without a sword, I am just a half person. I had thought so. No wonder you were so weak. It is because you did not use a sword. I mean, to be called a sword saint with that level of power, I thought something was wrong. Cain cursed Ketal inwardly. You brat. If you used a sword, you might have won, Cain wondered to himself. Can I win just by using a sword? I am really looking forward to that. My self-esteem, I will get it back, right? I feel like I will be crushed even more miserably. Before returning, I had learned swordsmanship. But this is the real mysterious swordsmanship. A strange type of swordsmanship that controls mysterious aura. This is the real mysterious swordsmanship. The main feature of my swordsmanship is the fusion of illusion and reality. When you fought with my disciple, what did you see? That knight is your disciple? His sword move split into 3, and all 3 were real attacks. So that is what you meant by fusion. Is that a technique based on skill rather than strength? Swordsmanship is the art of fusing the sword and aura to use arcane arts, and the one who goes to the end of that road will become a sword saint. Cain drew his sword towards Ketal. Oh, so that is aura. I still can't believe this is happening. I guess fusing illusion and reality, it sounds a bit abstract. I am actually teaching swordsmanship to a man Dai. So I will show you with my own eyes. Cain focused, intently observed, flicked his sword decisively. This fusion radiated an extremely strong arcane energy. His sword move split into 5. Due to the strong impact of the sword, the ground cracked and broke. There are many techniques to create illusions using aura, but only my swordsmanship can make those illusions visible. The move you used just now, Cain then said, that is a truly arcane technique. What do you think? Ketal confidently replied, I feel like I can do it too. What nonsense are you talking about? I have dedicated my whole life to the sword, combining innate talent with constant hard work. I had difficulty achieving this swordsmanship. After all that, there's no way someone can imitate it just by looking once. I will show you that it is faster. That is, an axe. Ketal placed 1 foot forward as a pillar, leaned down, and put the axe behind. He just unleashed a move. The axe created many paths. Cain wondered. That sword move. He just used brute force to move fast. 5 straight swords appeared. Sparks flew everywhere. Cain screamed in horror. Smoke billowed from the axe. There, what do you think? It really looks like fusing illusion and reality when he unleashes a move at the same time, although in reality it is just thanks to overwhelming strength and speed. Even I was almost tricked for a moment. You just waved it around randomly. There is no technique at all, Ketal interrupted Cain, but the result is not much different. Swordsmanship is for use in real combat. As long as the result is the same, it is fine. Can't argue, but it hurts my pride too much. If so, what about this? Cain began to switch to the clone move. His body split. Extremely strong arcane arts released. The ground shattered. The place where Cain and Ketal stood sank. The place where Cain and Ketal stood sank. This is the clone technique, achieved through the ultimate realm in the application of aura. Can you imitate it? Ketal did not say yes or no, then turned his back. Unexpectedly, he raised the axe and swung it everywhere. Cain followed in a daze. Ketal's body began to emit a super energy. A large purple vortex surrounded. It spun stronger and stronger. Ketil turned to ask, "What do you think?" Cain collapsed to his knees with tears streaming down his face. "My life's work. My swordsmanship." And Cain held his head and said, "It can't be." A feeling of heartache and helplessness was clear on Cain's face. "His mentality is weaker than I thought." Ketil came closer to comfort. "Your swordsmanship is outstanding. I just swing the axe fast. That is not real swordsmanship. But the move you just showed is not just a afterimage that is real swordsmanship. I can't reach the realm of true arcane arts. That is right, my swordsmanship still has value. Fusing both illusion and reality into visible form, only I can do it in this world. Yes, there is nothing wrong with my technique. That man Dai is just a madman." What kind of madman can move so fast that he becomes a blur, and he does not even use aura? That is not something a human can do. Can you teach me the true meaning of technique? Sorry, I let my emotions overwhelm me. Ketil smiled. I understand. To use true technique, you must first learn to control aura. But to control aura, you must first comprehend arcane arts. Whether it is a mage, swordsman, or witch, they can't enter a higher realm if they have not awakened arcane arts. Only those who believe in gods are the exception. So divine power is a separate thing. Their miracles come directly from the god they worship, unrelated to personal ability. Ketil exclaimed, "Wow! Arcane arts is like that, is the mysterious power, hidden deep within each person. The way people use that power will determine everything. So, whether you want to use aura, absorb magic power, or control spirits, the foundation of all mysterious power starts from comprehending this arcane arts. Arcane arts has 5 stages, the most basic of which is feeling arcane arts, that is the realm of awareness opening and feeling arcane arts. Not everyone can feel arcane arts, Cain continued. If you do not have talent, you won't feel it. Those who can feel arcane arts, we call them third class. The ability to use arcane arts is divided into 5 levels. Third class is the first level. Usually we divide it into third class, second class, first class, transcendent, and hero. Those are the 5 main classifications. So that is how it was at that time. In fact, that is just a way to classify for convenience. There are still very large differences within the same level, and the boundaries are not clear. Just know that the concept exists. I understand, then. Let us begin. The first step of arcane arts. Feeling arcane arts? Cain closed his eyes and said, "Feel everything around you. To comprehend arcane arts means to awaken an awareness that you have never known before. Expand your senses to the fullest." Ketil also silently felt, according to his words. Images appeared in his head, according to Cain's words. Feel the wind passing by you. Feel the warmth from the ground. Recognize every movement in the wind as it sways, and in between, find a different presence. Ketil meditated attentively to feel strange vibrations appeared around him. Just when he was drifting with the flow, it suddenly stopped midway. He said, "I do not feel anything." He heard, and his face froze. The 4 eyes silently looked at each other. He tried to calm down and asked, "Really, I thought with your strength you would feel it right away." Suddenly, Cain remembered a figure, not exactly a rule, but those who are strong even without magic power often find it easier to comprehend arcane arts. Maybe you are the exception, Mandy. Then he said his doubts. Or is that the peculiarity of the snow-covered wilderness? Ketil recounted, "I do not know. No one around me has ever felt something called arcane arts. The people in the wilderness are like that." Cain had to sigh and add, "But in reality, even for most, comprehending arcane arts is not easy. Let me try to transfer energy directly into you, to open the path to arcane arts." He heard, and his eyes lit up, and asked, "Are you going to transfer aura?" He nodded and confirmed, almost like that. Ketil then excitedly showed his face. "Okay, I am prepared." He looked at him like that, and also sweated. "Okay." He slowly stood up and went to his place. Cain approached behind him, and then reminded, "Now, relax your whole body, focus on the inside, and gather all the senses into your body." He slowly placed his hand on Ketil's back. "Now, feel the magic power that I am transferring into you." Suddenly, his expression stiffened. Cain looked at him with life doubts. This body, is he really human? Just like a carved stone, how compressed is this muscle mass? Is he really human? Ketil saw him not saying anything, and confusedly called, "Cain." He was called and startled and replied, "Excuse me, my mind just wandered off. Let us start." Cain was transferring aura and seriously thought, "I will start the aura flow. The important thing is to awaken the path to arcane arts in him." Finding it is the goal, it is not too difficult in the first place. Suddenly Kane exclaimed in surprise. Huh. He looked blankly at the reaction inside Ketal. What is wrong? Ketal, with an enjoying expression, and he was terrified in his heart. I can't find the path to arcane arts in his body, no. More precisely, Kane's face darkened and realized, I can't touch it. And he was still happily enjoying. The scene switched to a monologue. No matter how much I expand the aura, it does not touch anything. I can't see anything. Just like swimming in the abyss. No, but crushed by the pressure of the deep sea. Kane sighed and said, It is not good. He had to helplessly cough. Ketal at this time woke up in a dream. He fearfully probed and asked, What do you mean it is not good? Are you saying, I do not have talent? He explained, No, not like that. It is just that transferring aura into you is not enough. To find arcane arts, you have to find your own path inside and awaken the sleeping power. Ketal turned his head hesitantly and said, I know, but... Kane shook his head. I can't find the path to your arcane arts. He heard and was shocked completely. Are you saying that I can't comprehend arcane arts? He tried to explain, No, not exactly. I can't even confirm that it exists. Ketal confusedly asked, What does that mean? Kane said firmly, Your body is unusual. To find arcane arts, aura must reach deep inside, but your body is too special. My aura can't penetrate deep enough into you. Kane secretly sighed in his heart. I have never seen this before. A pure physique is hindering aura. He sadly closed his eyes. Even a sword saint is helpless. Ketal pouted, So I will never comprehend arcane arts. Ah, he said uncertainly, It is hard to say. I can't confirm in any direction. I do not even know if that path exists in you. You should find a sword saint who knows aura better, or go to the mage tower. Kane placed his hand on his chest and bowed anyway. Then, I am sorry, he waved his hand in reply. No, it is okay. Ketal silently encouraged himself. There is still hope. That is enough for today. He stood up with effort. Even so. Ketal smiled brightly and thanked. Thanks to you. I learned a lot. I am very grateful. He thoughtfully looked towards him. Kane secretly recalled old memories. All the Mandai I have ever met were wild and hard to control. They robbed, drank alcohol, and used violence, so society rejected them, but this person is different. Kane spoke and asked, Have you ever thought about joining this kingdom? Ketal was confused. What do you mean? He explained to him. I mean, swearing allegiance to the kingdom and receiving a rank. He solemnly affirmed, With this strength, you will rise very high. I am even willing to vouch for you. Ketal said seriously, An interesting invitation, but... He lowered his head and said his decision, I refuse. I do not want to be bound. Kane thought, If I had him, perhaps we can escape the control of the Empire. Kane wondered, Even so, does not the rank tempt you? Is not that enough? He smiled lightly after listening. Ketla confidently crossed his arms and spoke his mind. I choose to enjoy my own freedom. He was shocked after hearing. Kane said, somewhat flustered, Is that so? I understand. He happily reached out his hand. Anyway, thank you. I won't forget this favor. His expression was still somber and full of thoughts. The scene switched. At this time, only Kane was moving in the hallway. He secretly scolded himself. I am so stupid. Kane recalled his figure, thinking that he could control him, even if only for a moment. But that was impossible. That Mandai only acts according to his own will. He can cooperate with others, but only to that extent. Inside, there only exist his own thoughts. Not knowing what he is thinking, perhaps that makes him even harder to predict than other Mandai. Someone from the demon realm, a Mandai of the snow-covered wilderness. Then he let out a long breath. Kane looked thoughtfully at the distant sky. Invade the demon realm. What is the Emperor planning? The scene switched. At this time, Luke was muttering, Is that so? The Emperor really wants to conquer the demon realm. Kane spoke. People are dying in the name of reconnaissance. Luke asked curiously, Are you serious? He confirmed, for sure. Perhaps he thinks he is the incarnation of an ancient emperor. Anyway, that is still a matter of the future. Kane looked towards Luke and said, We still have not taken over the entire human territory. He also said gloomily, It is only a matter of time. Kane, with a serious face, added, Yes, this land still belongs to the Empire. We can be summoned at any time. It is best to be prepared, Luke sincerely replied. Thank you. He sighed and tilted his head back. The world is already chaotic. Now the Emperor is half awake and half crazy. It is really a headache. Luke, after hearing that, looked at him in surprise. He was curious. Could it be that? The rumors are true. Kane confirmed, yes. The demons have started to mobilize their troops. Luke's whole body froze. Kane recounted, The dungeon outbreaks are also unusual. There is nothing certain, but some people say the demon realm's pollution is leaking out. He secretly remembered those terrible scenes. Something is happening, and whatever it is a disaster for humanity. Suddenly Cain woke up. Thinking about it, perhaps the strangest thing is right in our midst. Luke said in a low voice in agreement. That is right. He spoke and asked, what do you think? He was sweating profusely. I do not know. Luke gave an assessment. At least he is not an enemy. But other than that, I can't say anything more. The scene switched, the flag of the Empire fluttering. The people's buildings appeared under the gentle sunlight. Ketil at this time was leisurely strolling on the street. His eyes glanced to the side. Next to him were two mothers and children hugging tightly, causing him to be suspicious. Then when he turned around, another person, also worriedly hid. Ketil helplessly sighed. He seriously pondered. Are they afraid of me because of my clothes? He's self-obsessed in his heart, or is it because I am not wearing what they call decent? A leather vest is okay, but I am afraid it does not look like a civilized person. Surely they think I am crazy and do not want to get involved with me. He completely misunderstood. Then Ketil happily widened his eyes. Okay. He happily decided, buy a few sets of civilized clothes. The scene switched to inside a clothing store. The clothes were hung neatly. Next were quality fabrics for sale. Ketil directly opened the door and entered. The boss happily called out, welcome. Then when he saw the person coming was Ketil, a barbarian. Then his face turned pale. He fiercely approached and said his request, I want to buy clothes. The boss was worried in his heart. A barbarian. He kowtowed and replied, I am sorry, but I am afraid there is nothing that fits your body. Ketil frowned and mumbled, how annoying, so there is no way, he stammered and said, if you are willing to wait, we can custom tailor for you. He heard and was happy. Oh, I see, then do it. The boss, as if pardoned, replied, yes, of course, we will contact you when it is done. He fearfully imagined the worst scenarios. If he does not like the costume when it is finished, you call this clothes? Will I be able to return alive? Those thoughts kept haunting the boss until he left. Ketil, on the way to the guild. What is this? He looked at the thing that was shining underneath and was curious. Ketil gently reached out and picked it up. He suspiciously observed a gemstone. Inside the gemstone, you can see delicate lines that are flowing. Ketil squinted his eyes to assess. Then he decided to put it back inside. Okay, let me ask the guild. The scene switched to the guild. He asked the guild, receptionist Rosa, do you know what this is? He pushed the gemstone and recounted. I picked it up on the way here. It does not look like a normal orb. He sat down and mumbled. I understand, she said, but it does not look like a gemstone. Rosa continued to observe. The surface is very smooth. It seems to have been ground, carved. She silently observed the glowing stone in her hand. She thought, there is no seal or name carved. Why? Rosa's expression was somewhat sluggish. Why does it feel like it is valuable? Ketil felt something was wrong and snapped his fingers. Rosa at this time slowly woke up from the trance. She was stunned and did not know what had happened. He asked her, are you okay? She asked suspiciously. What do you mean? He spoke of her condition just now. You looked like you were being bewitched by the orb. Rosa was confused. Me. Ketil sighed. Never mind, forget it. Ignoring that strange situation, she continued to analyze. Even so, this orb is hard to guess. I feel like there is a strange energy radiating from it. Do you want me to have someone assess it? Ketil smiled. He politely replied, I appreciate it, but I will investigate myself. The fun is also in that. Suddenly he changed the subject. Anyway, what missions are there today? She also searched. Yes, please wait a moment. I will get the request form. After a while, Rosa handed out a mission form. Here, sweeping the streets, cleaning sewers, weeding, digging potatoes. Ketil happily picked up the mission board to consider. The scene switched. A small bag was placed on the table. He lay satisfied on the bed and said to himself, another glorious day. But he worriedly held the stone up to see. But seriously speaking, what is this? He remembered her situation and pondered. Rosa looked like she was about to lose her mind because of it. Could it be that it has some function? Suddenly, Ketil's eyes widened. A strange voice rang out in the stone. Come to me. Ketil sat up. Why did I just hear a voice coming from this orb? The whispers kept continuing. Come to me, come. He was stunned. What the heck? Is it trying to lead me somewhere? He closed his eyes and felt, and now it shows a map in my head. What kind of mind control magic is this? That sound kept ringing. Come to me. Ketil pondered for a moment. After thinking, he decided, then let us go. The scene switched. At this time, that sound was still continuing. Come to me. Ketil walked while annoyedly cursing. I said I am coming, shut up. He slowly walked in the dense forest. Suddenly his eyes widened. Kata looked in surprise at the cave in the deep forest. Is this that place? He smirked with a strange smile. And inside the cave, a skeleton slowly opened its eyes. He continued to emit a sound, come to me. He entered inside and called, I am here, so where is the person behind this voice? That skeleton observed him from afar with interest. Another sacrifice has entered. He sinisterly assessed, this time it is a stupid barbarian, at least he is big, enough to make a good sacrifice. He happily mumbled, so that is enough 10 people, this must be a dream. The skeleton's whole body was sitting in the magic circle and pondering, even resurrection can be done. Transition to the monologue. In the period of fierce wars that happened, countless kingdoms collapsed. Standing behind that time was a dark mage manipulating and disturbing the spirit of humanity. He controlled countless kings, incited wars, and then seized power of the kingdoms. But in the end, his crimes had exceeded the limit, and then what goes around comes around. From then on, he was pursued by heroes. However, before being destroyed, he had transferred his soul into another container, turning himself into a lich. Lich, a creature that imprisons its soul in a living host, existing until the host is destroyed. By doing so, the dark magic master who ruled the world became a lich and began planning his resurrection. And because he needed many lives to sacrifice for the resurrection, he hid himself near a peaceful land and began spreading deadly whispers, secretly sowing chaos. He offered the lives as sacrifices to create the magic stone needed for the resurrection. And once again planned to conquer the world with overwhelming power. His goal was gradually approaching success. The lich wondered, but why is the barbarian here? A sacrifice. Ah, this place is a remote area, because I need to increase my strength secretly, so I chose a remote place isolated from where it is. Easy to be noticed. He watched him move, and thought to himself, therefore, the presence of a barbarian here is extremely unusual. The lich continued to observe Ketal. The creatures from the north must have traveled a long distance. Based on his size, this is a great sacrifice. He looked at the gemstone in his hand and mumbled, the gem is enchanted with a special effect. It only attracts those who have not awakened arcane arts. Therefore, the creatures attracted by the gem are all those who have not awakened arcane arts. Then this barbarian is just an ordinary person. Without arcane arts, he does not seem to be affected. Could it be due to luck? The lich then continued to call, come here, barbarian, become a sacrifice for my glorious resurrection. The scene switched to deep inside. At this time he spoke. I am here. Keto was now standing in front of a large wooden door. He slowly placed his foot to step inside. When he saw what was inside, his eyes widened. The figure of a skeleton holding a staff appeared. He just stood majestically inside the room. Ketal looked at him with sparkling eyes. A lich, huh? A lich, a real lich. The realm that only mages who have reached the extreme can touch, the kind of superboss villain that often appears in these fantasy stories. I can't believe I am witnessing a lich in real life. While the lich was raising his eyebrows in confusion, what are you? Do not tell me you were not harvested by the gem. He heard and laughed. So you used this method to trick everyone into coming here. He suspiciously looked at Ketal. What the heck, I can't feel arcane arts from him. In other words, he is just a normal barbarian. The lich suddenly realized, you have some kind of treasure that protects your spirit. A high-level artifact. Ah no, it must be strong enough to block even my senses. I do not know how a barbarian like him can have that, but... He said full of confidence, perhaps you got lucky and happened to get a good artifact somewhere. He blankly said, I do not have anything like that. The lich then snorted coldly and concentrated his power. You think you can fool me? He used his power to transfer it into the skeletons under the floor. If you honestly accept your fate, then you could have died without pain, but perhaps I have to use force. The skeletons under his power gradually stood up. The lich stood arrogantly inside and performed magic. Summon my subordinates. A skeleton, after being summoned, then rushed to attack. He smiled in his heart, a dungeon with a malicious lich inside. Ketal cleared his throat and said, I think I understand what is going on. The white skeleton was holding a sword and slashing at him. Ketal calmly swung a punch and knocked the skeleton away. The lich saw this. His whole face turned pale. The skeleton that was just summoned was gradually dissolving in the air. He dusted his hands off and criticized, weaker than I thought. He gnashed his teeth after hearing. The lich waved his hand to continue summoning. Let us see if you can still be strong-mouthed after having your hands and feet crippled. I only need you alive. That is it. He ordered the skeletons, slash him. Ketal snorted coldly. His fist tightened. He swung a light punch straight at another skeleton. Ketal, just like a war god, rushed straight through the skeletons and attacked. Next was another skeleton that suffered a kick. Then one grabbed his head and slammed it on the ground. The Lich was now gaping in shock. Katal excitedly looked at the skeletons that were disappearing. As I thought, Kasan was not wrong at all. If you destroy their heads, they will die. He tilted his head and said to himself, "A real Lich must summon something stronger than these rotten skeletons. Is this all there is?" The Lich was scorned by him and was hurt, like 10,000 arrows pierced his heart. He angrily pointed his staff at him. I am out of patience." The Lich's staff emitted a magical light. He used his power to summon a skeleton wearing armor. Rise up. He looked back in surprise. That is, Katal curiously looked at the new skeletons. A bone knight. Is that a bone knight? No, wait, because it was created by the Lich, it may be different anyway. This is interesting. The Lich reached out to control the bone soldiers, kill him. A bone soldier then rushed over with lightning speed. Katal happily clenched his fist, a bone knight summoned by the Lich. The bone soldier quickly appeared in front of him and swung his sword to slash. He mumbled, "Let us see how tough you are." Then Katal swung a punch straight at his face. The bone soldier's whole body then flew backwards, creating dust. The bone soldier's body fell onto the stone, causing the dust to fly up. After a while, the dust gradually dissipated. The bone soldier only lost his protective armor. He continued to rush to kill him. Katil surprisingly, "OHHED, you are tougher than the previous one." The Lich loudly ordered, "Release all your magic power." The bone soldier, with swirling magic power, attacked him. Katal still blankly looked towards it. And the bone soldier burned himself in magic power to launch a killing blow at him. Katal still stood there thinking about the bone knight that was created when it was about to throw a magic fist towards him. But he held his fist tightly, counter-attacking into his head violently, causing the skeleton to immediately fly backwards, then landed, causing a very large shock. After knocking it down, his face still did not have the slightest emotion. The Lich creature, when seeing his summoned subordinate being beaten so badly, gaped his mouth in shock. The lying place of the bone knight was very dusty, and a pile of ruins appeared faintly. Katal stepped on his remaining hand bones, seeing it was better than the previous ones, but not much different. He looked up at the Lich and asked, "Is that all?" That guy also spoke, "Who are you?" Wondering why he could not feel a bit of arcane arts from him, suspecting he was using a magic weapon to know magic power, but there were still no traces. And guessed this was his pure power, even more confused when he used this power to defeat the Bone Knight. He was still hesitant about his guesses, then praised Katal for being special. He was surprised when he heard this sentence, but the Lich started to perform magic, shouting that he would personally handle it, while telling him to consider it an honor. Seeing the evil aura about to surround him, but he still seemed very interested, then became disoriented, because he could not see anything in the darkness. His eyes were very scary because he knew he was panicked. Scorning the Mandai kept trembling, wanting Katal to pay the price for entering his territory, while he still did not understand what he was saying, then had to explain in panic, "I came because that orb was too noisy." Hearing him accuse him of spreading the orb, this guy was also helpless. He thought it was right that everyone who set foot here was led by the orbs he threw out, and this Mandi was no exception. Then he yelled at him to be silent, introduced himself as a great wizard who had destroyed 5 kingdoms, and his name was Kartos Branulus Kessis. Hearing his name, he flashed the name of the elf queen Marsdia, feeling everyone in this world has a long name. On the side of the Lich at this time, he had raised his staff, wanting him to be the foundation for his resurrection, then criticized the Mandai. His magic was coming closer, but Katil was still standing still. But at this time, his move spun around and around. He was very surprised to see that his eyes also became blurred, as if losing consciousness. This thing controls emotions, it evokes the negative, and imprisons the victim in it, paralyzing the mind, collapsing the spirit, a type of poison spell created by Kartos, almost invincible, because it consumes little magic power. This guy was very complacent that he did not know how to use arcane arts. He could not resist this magic, then thought about what he should do next, but realized Katal was not normal, guessing he was not carrying any breaking weapons. Kartos snapped his fingers and ordered him to be taken away for research later. A skeleton subordinate was summoned again. It held a sword and stood up, facing him. Suddenly, Katal's leg moved. The skeleton was using magic to prepare to take him. Then he had not lost consciousness. His eyes seemed a little sharp. Then kicked the Lich's subordinate straight into the sky, suffering a strong attack so his head had dissolved in the air, and at this time he had looked elsewhere. While Kartos looked at him in a sober state, he was shocked in disbelief. when his subordinate that he had just summoned had become a pile of ruins, then wondered again. He was certain the mind control spell had worked perfectly. At this time he had spoken and told him to just stare, then ordered the bone soldiers as before, then sighed, saying it was all boring. Hearing that he was criticized again, this guy had a psychological attack. Humans are a species that is dominated by emotions, no matter how strong they are deep in their hearts. Everyone carries a part of negative emotions. Therefore, it is impossible to resist emotion-controlling magic. However, at this time he asked him, "Do not you know how to use fireballs or magic missiles?" The Lich was trembling with anger because he saw him standing firm and compared his magic to those inferior tricks. Then summoned something again, wanting to gather the convection currents. Invisible and formless waves. His magic was to swallow the world and drown all minds in chaos. Ketil's eyes, when he saw him summoning this power, did not hide his interest. A hole appeared from within his formation. Then reached his hand out to order, "Destroy him." The hole was approaching Ketil, emitting a sound as if wanting to swallow everyone. A stronger magic power was being absorbed by the Lich into his formation. 1779. Then he laughed in madness. Because he was sure of his victory, suddenly the guy collapsed. Because he had been a little too forceful using magic power, only retaining a little to keep his body from dissolving, but he had hurriedly made sure with this blow that he would break him into pieces. Ketil spoke and praised this move was quite impressive, causing this guy to stop. Then suddenly looked up at him, but he innocently asked, "Is that all?" Making the guy completely collapse because it did not affect him, when he had just used the strongest dark magic in his entire mind control spell. Even a great hero, if hit directly, their minds would completely shatter. Kartos still wondered what he was, but Ketil did not understand why that move was impressive, but he did not feel anything. Asked if that was the entire performance of the guy, making this guy scared and sweating profusely. In his hand at this time, he had picked up his weapon, reminding him that it was now his turn to counterattack. Suddenly he said, "I see." Ketil was preparing to fight and had to be surprised. Still did not understand what was happening. Then he told him to come here when he already knew who he was, as if this had just been confirmed. Because he was rambling, so he did not understand what he was talking about. This guy laughed like crazy and mentioned the Empire, thinking they were afraid of his intelligence network because they found him so quickly, reminding himself that he will return to rule the world, crush the Empire's sword. I once heard that in the Empire there is a Kosa, human training facility. There are many mutants there. This man Dai must have come from there. A sword forged only to kill me. An assassin that the Empire sent. But the Lich still thought that he is Kartos Branulus Kessis. He will kill him and overthrow the Empire. Ketil felt he was very mentally ill when he was talking to himself. An illusory ancient vase suddenly appeared. He saw his body collapse, then turning into that made him even more confused when he shouted, "Let us give this body over." A stream of power struck him in surprise. Ketil's face changed, as if turning into a different person. He entered the body of the man Dai, swallowing even the soul. After doing so, if he did not become a Lich again, he would have to live in that body forever. When he was sure he had taken Ketil's body, he knew there was no choice. And he still stood there, listening to that guy's laughter, repeating over and over, "This body is mine." Inside Ketil's mind, the madman did not understand what this was. Seeing that there was something wrong in his mind, because he had never seen something like this, just feeling this place made his mind confused and unstable. When he saw the illusion of the flags, he vaguely guessed it was the Empire. Then had a headache and thought, it is not the Empire. Because even the Empire could not create something like this. Kartos realized in panic, his mind was collapsing. The last words of Lich Kartos before disappearing were just, "Huh." Ketil did not understand anything, when he just did something to himself and then suddenly collapsed. Looking at the corpse of this guy, it seems he has completely passed away. He remembered the black vortex just now, a Lich, wondering is not that the ultimate evolution of a mage, because he was very curious about what kind of magic he used. Standing there absent-mindedly thinking, then he realized that the Lich in this world is nothing great. Anyway, he cleared the whole dungeon. Now is the time to receive the reward. Then went to pick up his staff, remembering it shone when he held it, playing with it and wondering, can spells be cast, wondering if it will help him use magic. Then he was a little shocked when he dropped the gem, then happily put it in his pocket and hid it. But suddenly remembered something. Pondered, because it once belonged to a Lich, could this be a soul container? He picked up the vase, then he will have Rosa assess it. Looking around, Ketil saw that he had collected enough rewards, but saw something suspicious. That caught his eye. causing him to remember. When in front was a barrier. Also curious what this is, or is it a hidden room? Then he touched it with his finger. Being affected, this door created a dark aura. Then, shattered, Ketal was shocked because he had guessed correctly. He stepped forward. There were also two people with shattered minds inside already. Their feet did not move at all when someone stepped in. The secret ritual chamber of Lich Kartos. He had seen a few people standing in a row in the same posture with their heads bowed. Ketal was also quite surprised when this was real, but then he stepped forward. In his head he kept wondering who these people were, but then he approached one person and waved his hand in front of their face, greeting them, then turned to ask another person, calling out if anyone was here. Seeing that they did not react, he was pondering on what he should do now. Then decided, temporarily return to the territory first, decisively left, reassured that when he reports the situation, they will send people to handle this. The door was opened, causing the bell hanging there to ring. Ketal entered, causing the person in the room to startle. This girl had stood up, greeting him because she saw him returning a little early. He also said there are some things that need to be resolved. When she heard there was something, she did not know what it was. Then received his answer, when it was related to the orb he gave her yesterday. Hearing that, she also sighed, telling him not to joke like that. Ketal affirmed that he was not joking, but she still did not believe a lich who only has 5 people in the world would appear in this remote place. When she saw him pull out an ancient vase as evidence, making that woman both suspicious and a little shocked. He requested an assessment because he brought back one vice, like a lich's soul container. This girl did not believe it when she heard about the assessment and also froze, then frowned because she realized he was not joking.